Welcome everyone to the Desperate Attune Christmas special, in which we celebrate the holidays, some holidays, a holiday. We're celebrating Christmas, and we are doing this with a smaller cast than usual, with our smallest cast yet, I think, because it is just me and Klow here today,
Yes.
and we are playing a game called The Land Whispers. Hello, Klow.
Hello, Prince. It is good to be here today with you. Technically, it is possible for us to have an even smaller cast.
Technically it is, but I said our smallest cast yet. I did not say our smallest cast ever.
I'm just thinking about the possibility of having an even smaller cast.
Yes. Well, look forward to the monologue episode of Desperate Attune, I guess, in which one of us just improvises an audiobook or something. But that day is not today.
Yes.
Today, we are playing The Land Whispers by Jessica Osborne, who you can find the game at littlecuppajoe.itch.io/The Land Whispers. And The Land Whispers is a game about, actually, how would you describe The Land Whispers, Klow?
It's a kind of like a cozy / melancholic game about a group of people who find their way towards somewhere else, like leave their life behind and go elsewhere, somewhere into the land. And while in this land, they discover themselves and the land around them and its wonders. And they decide if they want to stay there or leave at the end of the game.
Yeah, we have played it once or twice before. This is going to be an interesting time. It's played with a deck of cards, and like I said, if you want to check it out, it's called The Land Whispers by Jessica Osborne. Please go and support the creator of the game, and also please support us. You can leave us a donation on Ko-fi, or you can join our Patreon, which should be linked in the description for the thing you're listening to.
And shall be. Yeah, Prince, do you want to talk a little bit about like previous experiences you've had with The Land Whispers? Because we're going to show one particular way of playing it, but maybe a nice idea to show what else it can do. And I think you played. I've been in all the games that I've had you, and you've also had some games on your own, right?
I have had one or two games outside of this, yes. So I have played a game in which a group of amateur archaeologists discovered a pueblo in the United States, settling nearby it in the wilderness. I have had a game about people restoring an old hotel and discovering things about the environs. And I've also played this game in a sci-fi setting in which we were exploring an entire planet, like an abandoned techno planet in a very sort of high concept, high sci-fi sort of setting. So it's a very flexible game setting-wise. Anywhere where you were exploring a strange landscape and making it your home, it works.
And I think based on the fact that this is about your fifth game, we can say that it's a good game that you like.
Yes. It absolutely is.
Good.
So the description of the game, the opening page, reads as follows. You left your old life behind to settle in a vast and distant wilderness. It is untamed, but it is beautiful, and with time it whispers stories of old to you. Play to reflect on where you came from and to learn about the life that the land itself has led. And that's the game. And the first thing we do is we introduce our characters and a little bit about the general setting. And the general setting in this case is going to be, and well, this is a game about discovery, so we detail very little ahead of time. The general setting is going to be a vaguely medieval-ish world on the ruins of an older, more advanced world. And we are going up north. And that is about what we know. Then we make our characters.
We've experimented with this in the past, having some NPCs who also join us, and that's worked out fine. But I like the idea of it just being the two PCs this time.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
I can roll with that.
Yeah, unless we come up with an idea that countermands that, that's fine. But
yeah, if people show up, then absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. So, what kind of people would be going up into the frigid north in this sort of post-apocalyptic? I was going to say hellhole, but I think that's just something we just associate with post-apocalypses. It need not be a hellhole.
Yeah.
Yeah, so why are we going up there?
Yeah, the game doesn't necessarily need us to detail very much. Like the game just says, introduce your
That's true.
character by a name, their pronouns, and give a brief description of their most notable feature. We don't even have to define our character's
true.
relationship ahead of time. We find the stuff out down the line. So I think it's more important to just get a vibe of a character down because much of it we're going to discover and play.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, so I'm down to discover. Okay.
I'm just going to do what I did last time and do an
Find
image
an
search
image.
for something
Yes.
random.
Yeah, I'm looking at my fantasy Pinterest.
Mm-hmm. Okay, first picture I find in my folder is of some sort of giantess. Maybe not.
Maybe yes. Now, that might be a bit hard to imagine a house to share with a giantess.
Yes.
I have an image and I'm pondering over it.
Okay.
Yeah, I won't link it in the description because for all I know, it's AI generated. I can't tell, to be honest. But well, it's on Pinterest. Stumbled across it. I like it, so I'm just going to use it as for inspiration. I will share it with you.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's put it on the chat. Here we are. That's me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I, in a similar vein, was also looking at a picture. Let's see if this links.
It's coming. Okay.
And I think that with this vibe, we're probably siblings because we chose
Yes.
very similar looking characters.
Yes. I am the older sibling, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. All right.
Looks like it. I don't know.
Yeah. Start by introducing your character with a name, pronouns, description of their appearance, and their most interesting feature.
Would you like to start or should I?
You can start. You're the older sibling.
Fair enough. So my character's name is Isambard. He, him, well, / they. I struggle with they, to be honest, a little bit. In that I assume everyone can be referred to by they, but some people specifically want to be referred to by they. Anyway, he, him / they. I think that's fine. And brief description of their most notable feature. Their most notable feature. You know, I have never done this in this game, so I want to see how it can work. His most notable feature is wizard.
Okay.
Wizard.
Yes. All right. And the vibe and the picture you have gotten with is like a blonde, stern-looking man holding a cup of water. Has a very intense energy.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And,
but he tells great jokes.
Okay. Wizard tells great jokes.
Yes.
All right. And I, just because it alliterates and you are Isambard the wizard, I'm going to play your younger sister, Isolde, or Isolde. I don't know how you pronounce that name actually. Is it Isolde? Is the E silent?
I'm going to do a quick Google search.
Anyway, if you
Isolde.
are Isambard the wizard, I am Isolde the widow, just because it alliterates. So her most notable feature at the moment is that she is a recent widow.
Okay. Recently widowed.
I could have alliterated that to witch, but you already have the wizard thing, so I alliterated it to widow instead.
Fair enough.
There we go.
I see that you're just a she-her, not a she-her they.
Yep.
I contain multitudes, however.
Yes, you are a multitudinous wizard.
Yes.
But your little sister, as it were, is an ordinary woman, so it seems.
Yeah, fair enough. Maybe when she gets older, she can be more people.
Yes.
Okay.
So we are telling the story of brother and sister Isambard and Isolde, who go up north to explore. And from there on, we just basically start. No, we ask one single question about the other player, and then you answer only one question. Then, once you have answered and asked the question, the first person, I nominate you, because you're playing the older sibling, to pull a card and get started on the narration. But first, the questions. So I will ask one of you, and my question for you is, who taught you magic?
Who taught me magic? I'm much better at coming up with these names when I'm writing them down. So let's see what happens if I just speak automatically.
It doesn't have to be a name. It could be,
Yeah, no, but I
a
want a name.
nameless individual.
I was taught by Foxcraft the Unruly, High
Okay.
Seer of the Court of Silver Serpents. Now, what did I say?
Foxcraft
Foxcraft.
the Unruly.
Foxcraft the Unruly.
Huh?
High what? Did I say High
High
Serpent?
Seer?
High Seer,
High
yes. High
Seer of the
Seer.
Silver Serpent.
High Seer of the Silver Serpents, yes. This is what happens when you speak automatically. You don't remember what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing we're recording this.
Yeah. Well, I can't just check my recording now.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
Good.
well,
But I
thank
have
you for
you.
answering my question.
Yes.
Foxcraft the Unruly taught you magic. Okay, what's
Okay.
your question for me?
How did your spouse die?
By poison. I'm gonna say
Hmm.
just speaking randomly, and I'm not gonna define anything further. It's possible my character
Okay.
doesn't even know.
Okay. Cool. We'll leave it at that then.
Yeah,
So it's my turn to draw a card. Draw
it
the
is.
cards.
Yes, you begin by drawing 4 cards, one of each suit. So a hearts, a spades, a clubs, and a diamonds. And then those things tell us some stuff about you, your home, the land, and the past.
Nice. I'll just draw them and then you can explain how it works to the listener further.
Okay.
Here's mine. Here's another one. Here's another one. And here is another one. And now to flip these.
Yes, how it works is there's a table in the PDF that is the game
Yes.
that tells you your prompts. So you get prompts.
Yeah.
There may be scenes or there may be just narration. In my experience, early on in the game, there's mostly just you narrate things, and then in the late game, you have enough meat to start making scenes out of it.
Yeah. And for further context for the listener, this game is played using a normal deck of cards. Now, Prince and I, as you can probably tell from the recording and so on, are speaking speaking continents apart. So we're using the Roll20 playing card deck, which is a little bit fiddly, but we can make it work. But yes, we have on our virtual tabletop a Queen of Hearts, an 8 of Diamonds, a 6 of Spades, and a Queen of Clubs. Those are the ones I drew. So let's look at these in order. I'll start with the Queen of Hearts, which has questions about myself.
Indeed.
Yeah. So Queen of Hearts, describe your daily routine. What 3 things must you do without fail each day? Ooh. This wizard who now lives in the north. What 3 things must he do without fail each day? First thing he has to do when he gets up in the morning is, you know what? I'm just going to go full weird. May I go full weird?
You have my permission to go full weird.
Thank you. I appreciate that. First thing he has to do is clean out his nose, because that's how the devils try to get in the night.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, so he
Holy
cleans them.
water, neti
Yeah,
pot. Got it.
yeah. So he cleanses. Then he cooks a delicious breakfast for himself and his sister of lichen, boiled lichen. Tasty. And then before bed, he has to make sure that he salutes the sky serpent, who rings across the night sky in radiant green scales that shimmer.
Okay.
Because if you don't salute, the sky serpent might lash out with her tail.
Okay. Lovely. This boiled lichen, do you think that it's like a porridge? Is that the end result? Or is it like, what sort of food does this result in? Is this like big chunks of lichen that are boiled that you eat like pieces of bread? Or is it more like a porridge?
I think you get 2 things out of it. I think you get like a sort of like porridgey sort of thing from like the lichen itself, admixtured with water and probably like some, I don't know, ship's biscuits or whatever equivalent of hardtack we also have brought with us. So we mix that together. And I think but when you boil the lichen, I think the first flush of the boiling creates a really potent tea that you drink throughout the rest of the day.
Okay.
But you should never just use that initial flush of boiled liquor to have your lichen porridge with, because
Okay.
it reacts badly with the heart tech in ways that you don't want to find out about.
Okay.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I'm reminded of my survival classes from childhood here. But yeah.
yeah, yeah. I
All
love that you
right.
had survival classes in childhood.
Of course I did.
Yeah,
You gotta learn how to survive.
yeah. Especially, I'm sure you did specifically. This is important.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So 8 of diamonds is my next one. So these are about our home.
Hmm?
What
Now
sort
we
of
start to
lives?
see our home.
Yeah. What sort of livestock have we acquired, and how did we come by them? What do we use them for? Ooh, up in the frigid north. Hmm. We have. Yeah. I'm just going to keep being weird. Okay.
Yeah,
You
sure.
can, you can join me in weirdness, or you can be a normal person. It's entirely up to you,
Hmm.
right?
We'll
But
see
we
when
have,
it's my
yeah,
turn. Go
yeah.
ahead.
We have 3 musk oxen.
Okay, not that weird.
Yeah, that we acquired by, well, that I acquired by kind of like smearing myself in musk oxen musk,
Mhm.
and kind of like drawing them towards me and convincing them that I am their long lost brother.
Okay,
What
I
do we
like
use them for? Yeah. Hmm?
I like the implication here that you brought musk going up
Yeah.
north. You didn't find it here. It was in your pack.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, of
Hmm.
course. What do we use them for? I think milk for the tea.
Yep. Makes sense. I
Yes,
also
milk for the
think
tea.
butter.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of churning of butter that happens in our little home.
Mm.
So we have these musk oxen outside our cabin, or however it looks, we will find out.
Mm.
And I think we milk them and we churn butter. And actually, maybe we don't have milk tea. Maybe we have like Tibetan style butter tea. It's like
Ooh.
churned together.
I am now tempted after this game to make myself some, but it might give me a
Yeah.
heart attack.
Mm.
It's
Yes. I think our characters definitely have butter tea, though. I think that fits the vibe. Warm and
that sounds
hearty.
good. I love that. Yeah.
Mm?
What else do we have? Yes, we also have 2 Arctic foxes.
Okay.
I
Good.
acquired them by tying their tails together.
Okay. Are they still tied together, or
Yes.
okay?
Otherwise they'll escape.
Okay.
I use them for ritual purposes that we will not examine yet.
Okay. Sure.
Hmm.
All right. So
Now, of
you have
course,
made a
I'm
Arctic Fox
leaving.
Chimera. Good.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm leaving open the open question of like how I managed to get hold of the first one to tie to the tail of the other one in the first place. But that's what.
You're a
Well, yeah, I'm a wizard.
you're a wizard. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So the next one is about the land, and these are the spades. I got the 6 of spades. You have a close call in a particularly dangerous locale. What makes this place so perilous, and what happened to you? Ooh. So we're in the frigid north. So I think the question that basically answers it. So I'll just draw from my personal life experience at this moment. Um, I think there's what's the word? Snow hill.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think there's snow hills everywhere, and I think there's a particular area where the snow hill. If it's very easy to get lost because the even when there's no wind, well, actually no, when there is no wind, like if you go to this place when there is no snowfall, there is no wind, nothing, just the just just these snow hills. You go to that place, then you see these winding paths that seem so easy to navigate. Like you go into them and you can just I think they're probably a convenient location from our house to somewhere else. Maybe I don't know, maybe a lake or something to get fish or
Hmm.
something, right? Somewhere that
Yeah.
somewhere that anyone who's living in this area would want to go. And the best way to go through would be these snow hills, and there's some convenient paths there. But if you go down those paths on calm winter days when there's no snow and there's no wind, then if you turn around, you'll find that the snow hills have rearranged themselves to trap you.
Mm. Okay.
But if you go down the snow hills when it's windy and there is fresh snow falling, The sort of weather when normally snow hills would be shifting around. Then it's fine. See what I mean?
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's weird. Again, is the land weird or is it weird around me? We shall find out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so the next one is Queen of Clubs. This is about the past.
Yes.
Oh, I discovered a set of ancient tools. What are they? And do I know what they were used for? Hmm. Yes, I think this is fun.
Mm-hmm.
I know what a ski is, right? I
Yep.
think we have skis. That's
Mm-hmm.
old technology. People have had skis for a long, long time. So these are skis, clearly,
Mm-hmm.
but they're made from they're made from one of those strange substances that we cannot reproduce anymore.
Yeah.
Something that is kind of tacky to the touch, like it feels kind of like resonated wood. That's the closest thing that it
Yeah.
feels like. But it's got this unearthly, sickly green color, and there's like runes and markings all over it, whose
Mm.
meaning is impossible to know. And what's strangest about these keys is that when you flip them upside down, you see that underneath there is not like it's not flat. There are strange wheels made of metal and another substance that feels soft, slightly soft and squidgy to the touch.
Mm.
I found someone's summer skis.
Yep. Yep.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. And I am perplexed by this because this is completely useless.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Yes.
It's a very
And
strange thing to find.
yeah, so I throw them away.
Okay. So you find them and you throw them away. That's the end of it. I like that this is a strange future in which literal wizards exist that can do strange animal magic things, but we cannot make skis.
Yes. Well,
Well,
I think we can make
we
normal
can make
skis, but
wooden
we can't
ones.
make we
Yeah.
can't make plastic.
No, fair
Why do we
enough.
want?
We
There's no
we do not.
need.
No. Also, we do not have the ancient lost art of ball bearings. All right. So this is your characters from your character's perspective. Our first time here, we set up a little cabin. We get our muskoxes. We make lichen porridge and butter tea, and we find skis.
Every now and then we salute the serpent.
Yes.
That's important.
Well, every
Yes.
morning you said as
Mm.
much.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, and we have these strange and dangerous snow hills nearby.
Mm.
Very cool.
Yeah. So
That's
that's
your
me.
turn, right?
Yeah. Your turn next.
Yes. I'm gonna move your cards aside, and I'm going to draw some cards of my own.
Hmm. Should we just remove
Uh,
these, or is it nice to have them on over here?
I think it's nice to have them on the side. It also means that we can put them back later for more games
Hmm.
easily.
Hmm.
Okay, so I have drawn the Six of Hearts, the King of Diamonds, the Queen of Spades, and the Three of Clubs.
Hmm.
And so I start with the prompt Six of Hearts. Who did you leave behind? Why them?
Ooh.
And I think the answer is clear. I have left my son behind. I did not bring my son up to the north. I had a child with my husband.
Hmm.
And the reason that I had to leave my son behind is that he is the heir. After my husband died, this very young boy has been ascended to the throne of. I'm not going to say he's a king because I don't even think our society has like kingdom scale societies
Hmm.
necessarily. But I think he's like what's a cool. I think it's a tribal chief of sorts. So
Like a
he is
jarl.
yeah, like a jarl or a great chieftain. And after my husband's death, well, there needed to be like an heir on this throne. I had a son. He was
Hmm.
quite young. He's been raised with, of course, an entire court of a family of this amount of wealth and influence. He's not alone. He is well cared for. But I have left him behind. And the reason, like I said, is I think I wanted to bring him on some level,
Hmm.
but I realized that like I'm not allowed to, because it would be taking away the chief of our entire people.
Makes sense.
And so, somewhat sorrowfully, I left him behind, confident that he's in safe hands and perhaps I will see him again sometimes, but it was not an easy decision.
No, I imagine not.
Yeah.
I wonder why. Maybe I joined you out of love.
Yeah?
Someone has to be here with you.
Yeah, either that or I joined you. Maybe you were intending to strike out north on your own because you're the weird wizard, and then I had my reasons for joining you.
Yeah. I have an idea about this, but I don't know if that kind of like goes against the spirit of the game to talk about this yet.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
Keep it, I think. I think it's interesting to see where the cards take us, and that idea can come up organically.
Okay.
Because there are some prompts that ask us about our reasons for going north, so...
Sure. I'll sit on it for now.
Mm-hmm. So, I have left my young son behind as I came north. Do you have any other questions, or shall I move on?
What's his name?
Oh, Ivar.
Okay.
Also starting with an E. With an I mean, Ivar.
Is it Ivar the Second?
Yes.
So I'll just write Ivar the Second, Jarl of the Southlands. Maybe we'll name the Southlands more specifically later.
That is how it happened.
Mm.
Next, I have drawn the King of Diamonds, which is a dramatic card. So this is about our home. A storm arrives. What becomes of your home? And so the obvious direction to take this is a snowstorm. But I think actually, just to subvert that, it is going to be a summer storm. So we have moved very far north, but an unusually warm storm draws in from the south. And this is not as pleasant as it sounds, because it brings with it rain and sleet instead of snow. It is not very peaceful. And of course, the rain and sleet and so forth, and like the hot weather that draws in, it melts a bunch of the snow. And it causes... So I'm imagining our house being some sort of like log cabin constructed out of wood. And I think that as the rain drives down on this constructed cabin, it sets in with a rot that seems almost magical. There is like a decay in it. That it's not bad enough that it like collapses, but the mold and mildew that we have been safe from because of the climate, where it's like cold and dry and that stuff doesn't grow, we are no longer safe for that. And the wood gets wet and mushy, and something sets into it after the rainy weather. And it turns out it wasn't actually like waterproof enough. Like it was snowproof. It was good against the layers of snow on the roof, but this heavy rain, no. So water has seeped into a lot of our things.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Imagine that freezing afterwards. That's going to be shit.
Yes. Yeah, and of course it will. So our house now has this problem where we probably have to replace quite a bit of the wood. And I also think that you will diagnose some of this rot as magical in nature. I think this is not just like mildew. This is some sort of impurity.
Yeah.
That must be dealt with.
Yeah. I have ideas there as well. Again, we can talk about it later.
Yeah, it might be a scene though. Like if you want to play out the scene, what you do in response to this, I think that's kosher rather than like establishing things about the world is done through cards, but reacting to it, I think is fine. So
that's true. I think, I think we see Isambard kind of like immediately like lighting the dried lichen on fire and so on, trying to like, so we're trying to keep warm, I think, because it's damp, it's chilly, it's awful, really. It's worse than the normal cold. I think we're trying to keep warm by bringing the musk oxen in and kind of like huddling around them. We see the Arctic foxes kind of like the Arctic foxes are probably distressed. Well, I assume that they're distressed by default.
Yeah,
but I think they're extra distressed. So I think we're all around this fire, and Isambard is burning the lichen, and he's chanting. And I'm not sure what he's going to do to clear out the rot yet, but what's happening here very obviously is that this overcast, stormy weather is obscuring us from the great serpent in the sky.
Yes.
Yes. So clearly, this is this is the machination of the serpent's enemy
Mm.
to prevent
I,
the serpent's servants from properly saluting and worshiping, and kind of like preventing us from being seen by the serpent and being protected by the serpent. So
mhm.
we need to
Yeah.
figure
While
out
you were
who this is.
yes, while you were doing this, Isolde is sitting by the musk oxen, keeping her hands busy, keeping them from freezing by
Mhm.
weaving. And I think that there's a different kind of lichen that we cannot eat, but it
Yeah.
can be somehow woven into cloth. So it's like a
Mm.
fungal cloth material that I'm imagining in these big matte clumps, almost
Mhm.
like felt, being woven and pressed together,
Mhm.
that I am making to reinforce our home. Uh, Thinking we need more of it now because much of it was ruined.
Yeah. How does the lichen react? I think to the warmer and damper weather. Do you think?
I think the one good thing that comes out of this is that the lichen thrives and grows because there's
Mm.
more moisture. It's a fungus, so more things decay, more things break down, old dead
Mm.
trees and bark and so on.
Mm.
And it lives in symbiosis with them, obviously, but it still thrives on the added moisture.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah. My next card,
More lichen, more problems.
yeah. My next card is the Queen of Spades. And that one
Mm.
reads, there is a place near your home that fills you with sorrow. Why? And yeah, this place near our home that fills me with sorrow is a building from the old world. I'm going into the past a little bit here.
Mhm.
And it is a very like tall concrete and steel building because we live
Mm.
in the ruins of a modernish world. And our characters do not know what the runes that still exist on it mean. Most of these buildings have been completely destroyed further south, but up here
Mm.
sometimes the snow keeps them for some reason,
Mm.
and this
Yeah.
building was unusually sturdy. So we don't understand this, but what it actually once was a post office,
Okay.
like a large center for sorting the mail and so on. And in this building, which I have gone inside to explore in search of more lichen and more useful things, perhaps treasures from the old world, there are all of these sorting boxes, all of this like enormous old-fashioned system for like storing packages and letters in like labeled slots and cabinets and boxes all along the wall. And
Mm.
it's probably old busted conveyor belts and stuff that don't work. But the reason that it makes me sad, obviously, is that all of these little alcoves seem to once have been like I get the distinct feeling that all of them at one time belonged to a person, which isn't really true
Mm.
because this is a central post office. So in reality, they would have been like an entire area, like an entire
Yeah.
postcode per box probably.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that, and so it seems to me that this was some sort of great storehouse, some great treasury, and none of the treasures inside remain. So I cannot tell what people once kept here. But it seems to me that some very great village must have been gathered around here, and they all had this little box, every single
Mm.
person that lived here. And it makes me sad to think about all the lives lost and all the things forgotten when
Imagine how
the
much sadder
boxes came.
Isolde would have been if Isolde knew that each of those boxes actually meant, I don't know, about 100 people.
Yeah, exactly. But that is a
Mm.
scale she cannot even fathom of
Yeah,
people
of course.
existing on. Like she can't
Yeah.
count that high. But just seeing this and knowing that each of these boxes must have been owned by a separate person, otherwise there would be no reason to keep them apart. It's very tragic, and she thinks about this a lot.
Mm.
I think she finds herself drawn to this post office often, contemplating the old world and all the things that died out so long ago.
Mm. Lovely. I like that.
All right. And the next card chains into it because my next card is the Three of Clubs, which tells me you find a mysterious old door that you are unable to open.
Mm.
Describe the door. Do you tell the others? Do you try to find a way to open it? And I
Uh,
think that this door is straightforwardly like a post office vault, which they keep further down below. Probably where they stored, I don't know, post offices used to store rather large sums of money and stuff, so that's probably originally why it was built. So I don't think it's like, an enormous bank vault door that's bigger than a person, like in a heist movie. But I think it is a proper vault door, like thick steel, the kind of door you see to like a bomb shelter, and maybe this place doubled as a bomb shelter at one point. It is very firmly locked and rusted shut, but perhaps my wizard brother can get it open, so I do come to you and inform you that on one of my trips to meditate upon the dead in the old concrete tower, I happened to delve down in the basement and found this big door of rusted steel.
And I think Isambard asks, did you knock on the door?
I did not.
If you are curious about what is behind the door, first you must always knock to know if you are accepted beyond the door or not. I have taught you how to listen to metal. Do you remember your lessons?
I think so. Everyone down there is long dead. I do not see that anyone could answer me, unless perhaps it is better not to disturb those ghosts. There are so many in there.
Metal remembers what bone does not.
Then I will ask the door.
Shall we journey together?
I would like that.
Then come. I think he hands you a leash for one of the foxes, and he takes the leash for the other fox.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go forth.
Yeah. And I think we can let the other cards determine what we find or don't find in there. I think that's interesting. Yeah. This is a game which can tell a story somewhat asynchronously, so if our next cards don't explain this, we'll just tell another story and then get back to it. Maybe we don't get it open right away. We'll see. That is one round over, and some time passes. After everyone at the table has completed their turn, going in your turn order, ask any of the following questions of any other player. Each player should ask and answer only one question. I won't read out all the questions because they're in the game book. You should get the game book if you're interested. But pick one and ask it of me.
What do you love most here?
I think it is the Great Serpent. I think it's beautiful. I think it's filling me with hope that we can see it up here. Because I don't think it's visible further south, at least not all the time. But here, seeing the fact that there is something divine in the sky that protects us, it fills me. It's something I love, and it fills me with hope. And this is in part because our people believe that the dead, if they have been worthy, they are taken up to live among the great serpent's coils. And so I often find myself searching it for any sign from my husband.
Have you seen anything?
Yes, many times. This is why I love the Great Serpent. I have seen stars twinkle between its moving and undulating scales, and lovely. I have seen what I believe to be a beacon of hope.
Beautiful. What question do you have for Isambard?
My question for you is, what do you struggle with here?
I think, despite Isambard's foreboding appearance and his like ascetic diet, he has a few vices, and he likes his creature comforts, to be honest. Though I think he pretends he does not. Isambard has a great love for chocolate. He likes sweets of all sorts. We have a great store of honey that we have brought with us that Isambard forces himself to ration out. But chocolate does not travel as well. It's a very expensive object that only comes to us through faraway merchants, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like faraway merchants who have managed to reappropriate some of the ancient technologies of old to bring it all the way up to us in what they call the North. And now that we're in the true North, well, there's none of that. Yeah. And I think that's what he misses the most.
Yeah. All right. So you struggle with your sweet tooth.
Yeah, specifically chocolate.
Good.
Yeah. What a man. Okay.
All right.
Shall I
then we go on to the next round. Yes. Please continue.
I got a 9 of hearts, which is What will you do if someone comes to find you? Who are they and why were they searching? Hmm.
Interesting.
I think the silver serpents might try to come.
Okay. The people who
Yeah.
taught you magic. Okay.
Yeah. I think they might come. Let's have a look at this question. What will you do if someone comes to find you? Who are they and why were they searching? Um, I think I will hope that the glamours and spells of distraction and binding and trapping and misdirection that I have placed all around our home for miles and miles around will hold up against their inquiries
You
because
have
we
put
should
up.
not be found.
Okay.
Hmm?
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
What?
Does Isolde know that you have enchanted the fuck out of our surroundings and made it impossible to find us?
Yes,
Okay. This is something you told me you've done. All right.
yes. The next
Mhm.
day, in fact, that you might be like, "How did you manage that?" And that's what being a wizard is all about.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So
So
we
we
are not
can't.
found. You have put up many enchantments and bindings, and we are unfindable.
Well, unless I want to be found.
Yeah, of course.
Hmm. Specifically me, not you.
Hmm. Okay.
That's just how that works. But of course,
Yes.
if you want to be found, then I can want to be found too, and that can help. But anyway,
Mhm.
yeah. So they can't find us. But why are they searching the silver serpent? I think it's because the silver serpents they consider me not a blasphemer because it's not a religion as such. But the
Mhm.
silver serpents are interested in yeah, let's get weird. All across the world, but not here. All across the world, there are these great twisting serpentine paths of some sort of strange black material,
Mhm.
and following them takes us from ruin to ruin of ancient places. And these roads, as people call them, many still use them, but the silver serpents, they know that these paths they trace like esoteric designs all over the world,
Mhm.
and for them, this is this is what it means to be of the silver. This is the true this is what serpentology is about. Studying the patterns and coming up with great maps of the black roads, of the black serpentine coils. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, I have broken with this tradition by seeking a different serpent.
Ah. Okay.
And
So you look to
uh,
the sky, not the earth.
yes, I am here. I'm doing my research, and when the research is ready, I'm going to come down and find them. And until then, uh, piss off.
Okay.
I
All
am a
right.
jealous academic.
Mhm. I think Isolde knows nothing of these serpent seekers and considers it a good and well thing that they are kept away, although
Yeah.
secretly does feel a little sorrowful, for she is at a lack of company. Like, she, unlike you who have your research, she has very little to do when she sits alone in the house and sometimes wishes that someone would come by.
Ah, but it's okay. One of the musk oxen is pregnant.
Yep. So
That's a
it
new
is.
friend.
It is a new friend, and I don't think she voices this. I think she
Yeah.
sits quietly with it.
Yeah. I don't think the Arctic foxes can get pregnant with each other because of the tail binding thing.
Hmm.
So sorry for that. Anyway, Queen
Hmm.
of Diamonds. How do you protect your home? I already. But let's see what else. What else can we do? Well, we have attracted the jealousy of the southern storm god,
Hmm.
so we don't like that.
Yep.
Mm, what can
I
we do?
also think if I have a means of weighing in here,
Yeah,
I think you are a wizard. You have
yeah,
this boards and bindings down pat.
yeah.
I think I have my husband's equipment, which includes
Mm,
a bow and a sword and a suit of armor. And
perfect.
I would often, in fact, ride out with him hunting. And so, against like creatures, when there are wolves and things, I am far more capable than you are in dealing with them. Because weaving spells takes time, but shooting an arrow at some creature does not.
Mm, mm. I tell you what, I think one day when you're out, not hunting, but on some other thing, maybe foraging or something, you come back and find on the roof of the cabin, on a long stick, artfully arranged, with many sticks, in fact, your suit of armor pointing a bow at the sky,
Okay.
and Isambard still on the roof, painting the tip of the arrow with blood.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks down at you and waves as though this is perfectly chill and okay.
All right. Well,
We can have a discussion about this if you like.
yes, I think that will happen. So I think Isolde spends some time standing there with the wind in her very long hair, looking up, and then she asks, "Why is it up there?"
To tell the southern storm god that if he comes, then beware. He looks very pleased
I
with
see.
himself.
Mm-hmm. I see. Is my spear still down here, or did you bring it as well?
No. The arrow that flies up into the sky. It's a better symbology.
Good. I'll have use of the spear then.
Unless we can throw the spear. Is it a throwable spear?
No,
He
it is a
follows.
boar spear. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Very well. He looks a bit disappointed, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think she takes out the boar spear, which is leaned somewhere in the back, and gets this ready, since apparently we can't use the bow right now. Okay, fair enough. I'll use the boar spear
yeah.
in case.
Also, your suit of armor.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
It doesn't occur to him that this is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear. I think probably Isolde's used to this, no? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think the reason Isolde doesn't protest much is that a suit of armor isn't very useful against like the shit we deal with up here. We don't have a problem with the raiders. We have a problem with animals, for which, a spear and thick clothes is perfectly sufficient.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if a polar bear really wanted to kill you, a polar bear can kill you regardless.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. It's a suit of chainmail is not your first line of defense against a polar bear, probably. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So, Jack of Spades. Out late one night, you discover a place perfect for stargazing. Oh, that's nice. Describe the location. Talk about how you first found it. How are the stars different here? Ooh.
Sounds like this ties into your research.
Hmm. Yes. So we know about glass. We are aware of glass.
Mm-hmm.
Glass is not a hugely complicated thing to make.
Mm-hmm.
People have been making it in the medieval periods. And glass, I think, has a reputation for being magical.
Yeah.
For various reasons. And people pay premiums for different kinds of glass. And I think Isambard has some glasses. Of course, there's his drinking glass. But he's also got like a few like witch glasses and so on. But in his explorations of the environs, he comes across a wondrous sight that has him marveling. Their entire house is made of glass. Entirely made of glass, with some steel sort of like bars between them, like long houses. And when he goes inside, he finds the withered remains of plants, or at least what he can identify as being such, dried out from ages. And clearly, this is some sort of like a wizard's home, full of glass and full of strange herbs. And he wanders through them, and this happens to be the season of the sky serpent, when you can see the sky serpent almost all of the day. And the sky serpent ripples across the glass, and it's fog. It's not clear glass. No, what am I saying? So it's in quality. I think Isambard can tell that this is glass whose purity is beyond any that he has ever seen, but it's also ancient and cracked and also withered. So it looks strange and warped, and looks almost as strange and unreal as his witch glass. But that's good. That's the ideal way to look at the sky serpent.
Mm-hmm.
So he sees undulations and scales, and he sees signs and portents that he has never seen before. And I think he comes back and has his lichen tea, and then says, Yovik has sent his greetings, as has Ivar. I think Yovik is our brother who died.
Yeah. I think, yeah, his soul is gladdened at this news and smiles and is happy to hear it and does not question it. This is a good thing when the dead send messages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good times are being had by everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And now the Jack of Clubs. You come across a lone structure amid the ruin that is incredibly well preserved. What is it? How do you think it survived when others did not? Ooh. So we have the greenhouse. We have had the post office. A lovely a structure that is well preserved. Now, what could that be? Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At first, it doesn't look like a well preserved structure. It's a ruin like all the others, caved in. And, he's exploring some bird. And then he walks around, and then he finds a staircase leading down, iced over and so on. But he mutters spells to kind of like melt his way through. And I think it's also summer, so it's relatively easy.
Yeah.
And so he kind of like goes a little deeper just to kind of see, moving carefully, right? Not to disturb the spirits, not to disturb whatever happened here. And then like past the sort of like big block of ice and snow that kind of like prevents egress into the stairs. He sees that just past it, if you melt a little bit, then there's like a big, dark, sort of cavernous space, which he goes into, using his witch glass and a sort of like a sort of fat candle wick and fat, kind of like reflect light around. He finds that he is walking through narrow passages, and the passages are lined with art done on stones that shine with the light. So he's found some sort of building with underground murals. And it's well preserved because all this stuff was underground.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. What this is to him is unclear. But there's plenty of buildings that exist which have underground components. Maybe it's a subway station. Maybe it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
The university that I go to, there's like underground paths from building to building that have like various Sami art and so on. So that's what I'm thinking of, I think.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
Bunch of underground art. Cool.
Yeah. And so I'll put this aside. So that's my round.
All right, I'll go. And I draw for my second round the Jack of Hearts, the Ace of Diamonds, the Three of Spades, and the Six of Clubs. And that means that the Jack of Hearts. What has this place taken from you that you will never regain?
Ooh.
Oh, that's a question. I lost a lot already before coming here. Lost my husband to poisoning. I had to leave my son behind because of the politics, even though he was much too young to reign. But what has this place taken? I think what this place has taken that I will never regain, at least in the same way, is I had an opportunity to remarry. And it's probably not to say that I can never remarry, but I can never marry this other person. And I think the opportunity to remarry was my husband's most loyal knight, who was in love with me like while I was married, and who offered to take care of me after my husband's death. And it would have been a good marriage. He was a wealthy man. He would have looked after me and my son, but I could not do it. And then I went north And we have
Mhm.
received news before you cast these spells and wards when we could still be reached a little bit. We did
Mhm.
have some contact with the South on occasion. And on one of those occasions, I received a message that this knight had married someone else and sent his regards. So I have lost this opportunity for a valuable remarriage, and I will probably never get back the status I had, right?
Mm.
Like, once your husband, the chieftain, is dead, then you have turned down the next best suitor, and
Yep.
so on. And I don't think Isolde regrets this in any way. She did not love this man, but it is undeniably the case that after she turned him down and went north and then basically sent a message of like, I'm not coming back,
Mm.
this opportunity was lost, and this opportunity for a profitable marriage to someone of wealth and influence is no longer a thing. And let's give this knight a
Mm.
name. So
Hmm.
I'll call him call him Hodwin. He was a good man, but I just happened to not be in love with him, is the thing. And also maybe he acted a little bit inconsiderably soon after my husband's death. That also
Mm.
probably factored into it.
So you're single now.
Yes.
No,
Uh,
that's I'm imagining.
yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
Hodwin saying that.
That's how he exactly. That was the energy. That's what I mean. That's what the energy he came at me with, and I was like, this is weird. He stopped.
Slow down, man.
Yes. But we live in a medieval society, right? These things are not uncommon. A
Mm.
person needs taking care of. So it was as much practical as it was romantic, but I would not have it.
Mm. Fair enough.
My next card is the Ace of Diamonds. Did you build the home, or was it already here when you arrived? Ooh, that's interesting. I think it was here when we arrived, although we had to build improvements on it. And I don't think that this is an old world building, though. I don't think this home was a ruin. I think the reason this was here is that, like, my husband, the chieftain, was a rich man, and he had ventures far afield. And I think this was in his like realm, the northernmost like outpost
Mm.
that was built here, and it was built here and used very very seldomly. But it was built as
Mm.
like a an outpost for like on occasion you send people up hunting or something, and so it was hastily constructed, and probably they didn't spend entire years here. They were here during the summer, during only the warmest season, and then it lay abandoned the rest of the year. So the building was here was not meant to be lived in year round, but we have
Mm.
improved it, so now it's possible to do that.
Until the storm god.
Yes, until the storm god.
But now he's been
And
told.
yes, this is very good. And so yeah, this is a relatively new building, but it still predates us by like a generation. It was probably built by my husband's father, in fact, as he like expanded the kingdom.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
Is there more to add to this? I don't think so. I'll move on
No, I don't
to
think so.
the spades. Out in the wilds, you have seen something you fear is a threat. Say what you've observed and discuss with the others how to deal with it. Hmm.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. I was gonna go with the polar bear idea, but I think I have something else interesting in mind. So, Isolde comes back, and she tells you, with some worry, that she gets the spear out, and she tells you with some worry that she has seen what can only be a dragon out in the wilderness. It's large and vast, and it seems to be like possibly dead, but can such things ever truly die since they have the power of the serpent? And she describes it as having like a large metal frame. And to skip to what is really being described here, what she has seen is in fact an excavator, like a huge excavating machine
Ooh.
that is run aground somewhere, probably near the post office. Maybe it was just uncovered by the changing winds. No, it was uncovered by the storm. Obviously, it melted free. Like it was stuck in a snowdrift, and then when the snow hit, that snowdrift was melted down, and that is why she thinks it's a threat, because it looks to her as if this old dead dragon is emerging, And the lore of serpents and dragons is that they cannot truly die, right? Like the serpent in the sky is immortal. And so this dragon, while it looks all skeletal and stuff, dragons cannot die. So it may yet wake up. And she asks you what we will do if it does.
I like the idea that that this game is set in Kiruna.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mines and stuff. Yeah. So it's probably, I mean, those mining excavator machines, they get big. So they would be scary to see to a medieval person.
Yeah.
That's probably what this is then.
Yeah. I think Isambert says, if the dragon wakes up, then there is little recourse for us except to return to the south, my sister. They are...
Can we even... Well, continue. They are.
They are things that... Well, they do not have the morality that you and I have. They are between worlds. They are not as great and good and powerful as the serpent in the sky. They are things of this earth, but they are things that are divine and have the serpent's blood. They have needs. They eat. If they wake up, they may be hungry. If they wake up, they may need to stretch their legs. If they wake up, they may need to find a mate. Many things that they might want. And you and I will not figure into their plans at all. We may be crushed. The earth might shake. They may eat us. Any number of things.
Do you wish to go see it? Or is it better we leave it be?
I can see it. I can see it. And he seems worried. They are beyond my power. That is the thing.
We can see it. We can see it from afar, from the top of the house of 100 homes.
Let us go. Let us go and look at this dragon. It is rare to see a dragon.
Yeah. And so she takes you up on top of the post office, which is the house of 100 homes, of course. Yeah. And from the top of the post office building, I think we can see this like enormous skeleton of a huge mining excavator sticking out of a snowdrift that is at this point, and it's no longer melting, right? Because the storm is past us. But now that it's half melted, maybe the wind will blow some of it away, or maybe if we're lucky, the dragon will be covered back up. Like, who can say? But it's half out of the snowdrift at this point.
See how the great sky serpent coils down towards its child.
I see it. I see it, and it worries me.
We cannot yet predict if the dragon shall waken. We cannot predict if the serpent's touch will waken the dragon, or that the winds will send the dragon back to sleep. We cannot predict any of this. But should the dragon awake, we shall know. The earth shall shake. And when that happens, my sister, we must back all we can, and we must return back to the Southlands.
So it is, then. So it is.
This makes me sad. But it is. I think that's probably it.
Yeah. I think we stand there for a long time watching the dragon sleep, and then realizing that it is out of our power, we return to our home.
What can you do?
And then my next prompt, wow. Okay, my next prompt chains into this. I did not look ahead at this, but the 6 of clubs says, you find the bones of a creature massive and ancient. Describe how you make this discovery. Do you know what it once was? Do these creatures still exist? And so I think obviously this has to be a different creature because I already found the bones of a creature, but I don't think that's bones. I think that's just what dragons look like.
Yeah.
However, the bones of a massive and ancient creature that I actually find are, I think, I think after the discovery of this dragon, I think Isolde takes to being outside more. We have seen her before being inside weaving and working. But I think discovering the dragon, she gets paranoid about mapping out the region, about knowing if there are any more dangerous beasts about. So she takes to taking more exploratory trips as you do your research.
Mm-hmm.
And she comes back from this trip dragging along an item through the snow. I think it's behind one of the musk oxen. And it is what we would recognize as an airplane seat.
Nice.
And,
yes, this is what I expected.
Yeah, and she says, I have found another creature, though this one is dead and its guts spilled. The ancients rode on its back. Look, there are all these seats scattered across its spine.
They knew much, the ancients.
Yeah. Isolde cannot, in her wildest imagination, imagine that this beast could fly, right? It's just a big beast with a bunch of seats on its back, so it must have been lumbering along the earth somehow.
Mm-hmm. I think we see Isember take the seat and try to put it on a muskox back.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't work.
No. She says, no, it was much bigger. It had, I don't know. I saw many seats. There must have been many such creatures, but I imagine one could have carried 12 of these easily.
And Isember is just lost in thought.
Yeah.
Imagining these great creatures moving. And he says, the ancients could hardly move except on their great roads, on the black serpents. Have you seen any? Referring to the roads, of course.
Yeah. He says, I think so. The storm shifted it away. I think that the black ground was there underneath this thing.
They are everywhere, are they not? I thought that this far north we could escape the old world and the black ground. But is there nowhere in this world that the ancients did not cover with this strange stuff? Why did they need to go everywhere? What were they seeking?
I don't know, but I hope that these big carrier beasts they used were not also dragons. I don't think so. This one, it did not seem asleep. It seemed torn asunder, its bones scattered everywhere. I'm almost certain it was dead, but who knows if any more lie asleep in the snow.
It's a difficult place that we have found ourselves in.
It is an old place. The snow has kept it all, and now that we have drawn the anger of this southern storm god, if there is another storm, if more of the snow melts, what else might be unearthed? You must make sure that the southern storm god does not dare show his face here again.
You have but one bow, and we cannot we cannot guard everywhere.
Then I suppose we must make ready. And if the weather turns warm again, more things may wake up. But if it is as you say, we will hear the earth quake and thunder. At least we'll have warning.
And so it shall be. He seems worried. Also, I didn't know that Kiruna had an airport.
I don't know that it does, but
yeah, apparently
maybe
it does.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then I found the airport.
Yeah. The land, Kiruna whispers.
Yes.
Yeah, not the sexiest and most romantic place on the planet, I imagine.
No, but interesting place for a setting like this. All right.
Okay, I wanted to ask, by the way. So we've done 2 rounds. We've done an hour. How long do you want to play? Do you want to go the full way, or do you want to do like 6 rounds, 8 rounds, and then call it quits?
I mean, 6 rounds is all the cards, isn't it? Because we're 2 players and there's 13 cards. So.
Oh, sorry, I meant 3 rounds. 3 rounds, 4 rounds.
Yeah, I think let's aim for 4 and see if we still have time. We've done 2 rounds now, so.
Yeah. It's been nicely well. Okay. Let's
Now we have
do.
some questions. Yeah, your
Let's do the
epilogue.
questions and then take a break.
Yep.
Okay. Should I ask the first question this time?
Yeah. We're still going in player order, so.
Oh yeah, I also asked the first question last time. Let's do it. What can I do to help you?
I think at this point, the answer is clear, and it is to ward against bad weather. But I think, yeah, maybe a more interesting answer actually is, I think it's ward against bad weather, and maybe maybe give me some consolation, because I think Isolde is very hellbent on not going back. I think she is much more worried about, it's your research project up north, right? But I think she is much more worried about going back south. And I think the reason for that, you come to learn over our time together, is a sense of shame, a sense of having withdrawn from society and it being like a very shameful thing to come back after you made. I mean, I think essentially what she's done, right, is this world's equivalent of after being widowed becoming a nun, of withdrawing into solitude. And I think she considers it very shameful, the thought of like returning to profane society, so to speak. So I think she needs help processing that. I think that's the main.
Okay, I'll bear that in mind as we go in.
Yeah, and I will ask you a question, and I think I will ask the same that you asked me. What do you love most here?
Not the serpent. I think that's just a given.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this is I think a secret that probably Isolde finds out quite late by accident.
Mm-hmm.
Isambard is conducting a love affair with a wind spirit.
Okay.
Not the southern wind. This is the eastern wind.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a god. It's just a spirit.
Yep.
They go on dates, as it were.
I see.
Uh,
Is this something that she can see with her eyes, or is this something that she picks up through subtle signs? I don't know if non-wizards can see wind spirits.
I think probably you see him out towards the eastern shore of the frozen over lake one day, on a very very windy day, kind of like it's clear that he's dancing, which is something he very rarely does. But it's not a dance that one does on their own. It's clear that he's holding someone and being guided. I think he is being guided. Like he's in the. I don't know what you call it in dancing. Like, I mean, when someone leads and the other one is led.
Yeah.
Like, what are those roles?
Yeah. I don't know if they have names, but yeah.
Yeah.
Someone leads, someone is led.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's being led by something, and it's a very strange, fast serve dance. So it's clear that he's being seized by something supernatural and moved around, but he seems perfectly happy.
Yeah, I think it takes Isolde a long moment to figure out what is going on, and at first she just chalks it up to sorcery, and strangely is not so offended or so frightened by this, but then she gathers, right, there is some romance behind it, and I think this shocks her because, as we have just established, she went up here to go into celibacy effectively, and I think it was always understood that as a wizard you are also celibate, so there is this sense that we are in a sort of monastic seclusion, and then she realizes that you are not in monastic seclusion.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know how to feel about this.
It's like, all the gay men that I know in Bangladesh, people are always like, why aren't you married?
Yeah.
It's like that. It's just a fundamental misunderstanding of the nature of wizard sexuality.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, but, I've never asked about wizard sexualities. I've always assumed that you are just celibate and always have been. Yeah. And now Isolde is shocked to find out that wizards can fall in love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least you didn't see the time when I kind of like threw flower petals at the wind.
Yeah. All right. Let's
That's been
take a
happening.
5-minute break here.
Let's take a 5-minute break.
Mm-hmm.
All right. See you in 5.
Yeah.
Yes, I am back.
Okay.
Yeah. How are we feeling? I'm enjoying this
Yeah,
game.
I am.
Hmm?
It's nice. I don't know if we can go through all the cards, but we'll see. We'll do another 2 rounds and then we'll see how we feel.
Yeah, I think so. I think
maybe the story will end before that.
yeah, because the game for some reason I always struggle to remember the game's mechanics despite them being very simple. Unlike some of the other more world building ish games that we've played, there's no like random way to just end the game, right? Like you have to finish all the cards or just stop playing whenever you want, right?
Yeah.
Hmm?
But I also think that it's a sort of game where generally you feel like have we reached this compelling point for our characters now.
Yeah.
So some of the
That's
last
good.
times I played it, I've been in situations where we've been like, yeah, we probably ended the story now, but we can do one more round just kind of as an epilogue thing. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I totally think you don't have to do that. And with 2 players, also we probably won't churn through the entire deck.
Yeah. It does get a bit
Do you want to?
intense.
Now that
Hmm?
we're halfway in, do you want to reverse the turn order just to change things up and have me go first, or do you want to
That's
keep
a
with
good
the turn
idea.
order we've had?
No, yeah, let's reverse it.
Yeah, I think it can be interesting to swap around
Hmm.
the turn order, as it were. So I shall go first now. That also means I ask the question first when we're done with these 2 rounds. I have drawn my cards, indeed. I just got to look up what they mean. But I have drawn the King of Hearts, the Jack of Diamonds, the 2 of Spades, and the 7 of Clubs. And the King of Hearts tells me that one day visitors arrive. Who are they? What do you do?
Fuck!
So this is interesting because we've set up these wards, right? Against the serpent followers, the silver serpent followers.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Just because we introduced this character, it's Foxcraft.
Fuck!
It's your mentor.
Fuck!
He comes by, and I think he comes with a small retinue, but he does not come with the other silver serpents. So he's not here officially as part of them. But I think that we see Foxcraft, and since I have power over the narration now,
Mm.
I am going to tell you what Foxcraft's deal is, because I'm going to detail him a little bit, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think Foxcraft he's a man with a wispy red beard. He's,
Mm-hmm.
well, they, because I think wizards in this world use,
Multitudinous.
yeah, they tend to be they pronouns, although they can have other genders.
Yeah.
So Foxcraft has this red beard. They have a small retinue, and this small retinue is from people from the chiefdom, not silver serpents. And I think it becomes clear as we see these people approach that Foxcraft, he's not here representing the silver serpents, but he's here as a guide hired by the people from the Southlands to navigate the wards.
Hmm.
For whatever reason. Perhaps it is the season, perhaps they are just up here to hunt. But Foxcraft spies the thing you have set up on the roof, the armor and the arrow. And Foxcraft taught you these things. They are your teacher. And so they deviate from the path. And I think the rest of the retinue has not seen our home, because it's still warded by your spells and fight turnings. So they wait. They make a little camp. And Foxcraft goes off alone to investigate something, and then comes to the home and knocks on the door politely. And what is your relationship with Foxcraft like?
Generally good, but he has this like it's great. It's like, it's really warm, it's really friendly. But he has this way of talking about the sky serpent as though,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that's nice.
I see.
That's nice that you believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk about some serious things.
Yeah.
You won't believe the
And
miles I can get on this road.
yeah.
He's got
Oh,
a dune
okay.
buggy.
I'm gonna twist up our story a little bit. So I think he comes back, and I was gonna ask you what you do, but I still have control of the narration, and the question is what I do.
Yeah.
And so I think when Foxcraft comes by, you are not actually home, and it's
Mhm.
Isolde who meets with him the first time.
Mm.
And I'm not going to do a whole scene having dialogue with myself, but what Isolde does is that she tells Foxcraft both about the dragon and about how she has seen you moving with the weather gods and perhaps getting intimate with them, and that this is worrying because this might be a bad thing. And is this why the dragons have been waking up and why we've been having all this bad weather? And I think she says it because she's been so worried about this. I think she takes this whole like vow of sexual abstinence for herself really seriously, and sort of by proxy projects it onto you, even though it might not actually matter. But to her, it's like it's really important that wizards remain celibate and that they don't get too personal with all the weird supernatural shit they hang out with. So
Actually,
she
it's
confesses all
purely
this to Foxcraft.
it's actually purely romantic, platonic. It's not sexual.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good luck explaining that.
That's too
Yeah.
many words.
Yes. Anyway, she doesn't explain it in exactly those words, and Foxcraft maybe understands, but I think she shares with Foxcraft what she has seen about the dragon, about the storm, and about your like dalliance. And then it is up to you how Foxcraft. I will give narrative control to you how Foxcraft deals with this. Like, is he angry with you? Is he disappointed? Does he not give a shit? Is he like, yeah, that's normal?
I think he considers it one of those things where, I think wizards don't talk about their love lives to each other. It's kind of like, I don't know, you don't talk about masturbation with your friends. Well, most people don't.
Yeah.
Some people do, I guess. So it's just one of those things like, okay, yeah, I mean, I guess me too, I do that. Why are we having this conversation? Let's not have this conversation.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
how it would normally be. However,
Yeah.
Foxcraft is a wise teacher. I am his wayward son, essentially. Well, not really a son, but that's the kind of the vibe. And
Yeah.
I think he's always like doted on Isolde, I think,
Mm-hmm.
to an extent. I don't think Foxcraft was around very much, but whenever he was
No.
around, he was always like he
Yeah.
always like took the time to listen to Isolde. So he's going to be
Absolutely.
like,
I
this
don't
is
know
worrying
him.
your sister. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah. I don't know him well at all, I think, but the vibe here is I know that he's your teacher, and I know that he knows more than you because he's your teacher, which is why I've told him all of this stuff,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
mm-hmm.
Foxcraft.
Yeah. So he has a conversation with you. How does that go? As he confronts you about these things.
We don't like the southern wind god. I am having an affair with the eastern wind, with an eastern wind spirit. I worship the northern sky serpent. I wonder where Foxcraft himself where Foxcraft places himself. Oh, I know. I think Foxcraft has a conversation where he says that one of the main reasons that we have to keep ourselves that the silver serpents focus on the black roads, the black serpents, and so on, and not the sky, is that the black serpents are of the earth, as are we, and we of the earth must remember our allegiance to the earth and must not get involved in these wars of directionality. This is getting a bit abstract, but I think it must because of wizards.
It makes sense.
The idea is that we are at the
sense.
center of a compass. We must always be. And my interest in the northern sky serpent was already a little bit dangerous because that kind of like, even though when you stand on the ground and you're looking up, it might seem that you understand your place, but your heart is pulling north is the thing, and that kind of like unbalances the sort of impartiality a wizard should have at the center of the compass. But with this southern, I think actually he's more pissed off about the southern storm god thing. It's like, see what you've done. You've put yourself at risk. You have meddled in a battle that is beyond you. That should not be your concern. And now I am also muddying my waters even more by having an affair with the representative of the east wind. What will be my relationship with the west wind? How's that going to work? Huh? So pull out, stop this affair. go back south. Look at a nice road instead.
Yeah. I'm thoroughly enjoying the wizard sense of priorities here.
Just look at a road.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just love the idea of these people religiously being like, you gotta get out there and touch asphalt, man.
At least you can touch asphalt.
Yeah.
You can't even touch this girlfriend of yours.
Yeah.
You can't. You can't touch her. She goes to another class of
Plane
being.
of
I don't know.
existence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Oh dear. I
Okay.
think Isambird listens because he has to. This is actually, I think when the wizard's master speaks, the wizard must listen. I think like the mouth is locked, the tongue is locked,
Okay.
and you can't even like clap your hands over your ears and go la 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 because the words go right into your brain.
Okay.
But as soon as he's done listening, he storms off in a huff.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
and I think it turns out that Foxcraft is just here guiding some people for the annual hunt that I established earlier, which the hunting cabin is for.
Yeah.
They couldn't do this last year when we were here first because your wards confused everyone. So now they had to bring Foxcraft so that they could go get the reindeer herds that they normally hunt.
Mm.
And that's the only reason they were here. We had nothing to do with it actually, but ironically, your wards that were meant to keep away attention now drew the attention of a wizard because they had a skilled wizard with them.
Makes sense.
And I think that's that for that prompt. My next is the Jack of Diamonds, which says you add another structure to the property, not necessarily a building. What is it and why are you building it? And I think, having been advised by this wizard, who I poorly understand because he's very esoteric, I think the structure that I am adding to the building is you've already mounted this armor and this arrow on the roof. But I think the structure I build is essentially a scarecrow. Like it's a very tall pole. In fact, it's a lamppost. It's a metal pole that are easy to dig up around here. I have one of the I almost said musk oxen, drag it back and put it up on the roof almost like an antenna. So it is this like very tall metal lamppost on top of which is an effigy that I have made of other random scrap I found, wood and metal, hubcap for a face, that is wearing my armor, pointing an arrow to the sky, and I think I do my best to make like a realistic effigy. Like paint the face on it, make it more than just like a suit of armor and an arrow, right? But actually set up like a whole scarecrow thing that is aggressively pointed south. And I think despite what Foxcraft told you about lessons about not meddling, now I'm meddling because I'm basically just putting up a giant middle finger to the southern wind god. Very aggressively pointing this effigy towards him.
Off.
Yeah. I mean, I'm doing this in the tradition of making a scary statue to scare away evil spirits, right? Lots of cultures have done this. I am doing the same.
Yeah. Piss off Southern Sky.
And because it's on top of a lamppost on top of our house, it's very high up and very visible from afar now. So, like, if not for your wards turning people's sights, our home is actually weirdly obvious as a result.
Oh dear.
Yep. But nothing to be done about it. You warned me about the Southern Wind God, and this must be done.
Yeah, well, I have no opinion about this. If someone does, they can speak to you.
Yeah. Very good. And I can't hear them because I'm not a wizard, so.
When he speaks to you, it's just normal. It's just normal speech, and you're like, yes, okay, sure, and then just ignore him.
Yep. All right.
Nice.
I think that's that. My next card is the Two of Spades. There is a place in the wilds you retreat to for quiet moments. Describe the location and tell how you discovered it. What draws you to it? So, I think this place in the wilds, which I retire to for quiet moments, is... I think it is a frozen lake. Some kind. Probably it was once a mining pit. I think Kieran only has one big pit, but I'm going to invent another one for our story here.
Yeah, that's how the apocalypse happened.
Yeah. Too many pits. So it is like a former mining pit, but unlike the other ones with the excavators and so on, this one was filled in by water before the north froze. So it's a permanently frozen lake now. It's just ice all the way down. It's probably been frozen for a very, very long time. But since it is a lake, right, it's an entirely perfectly flat surface. So I think I retreat for quiet moments out onto it because it's a good place to see the sky from. And it's not in the magical sense of your glass house where you can see the world like warp and weft above and gain magical insights. It's just nice. And I discovered it, I think, when I was looking around for more dangerous beasts, for dragons and stuff, because I think was a little bit secluded behind trees and stuff that have grown around it. So it's not obvious that it's there from the outside. It just looks like a copse of trees. But I pushed my way into it. I found this location, and I'm drawn back there by the, there is something eerie to frozen lakes with this perfectly flat surface with just a bunch of snow on it. So, yeah, I think I spend a lot of time out on it, looking up at the stars, wondering how my dead husband and my brother are doing, and whether I shall ever see them again someday. And also, probably now increasingly, yeah, I think this is a cool detail. I think increasingly Isolde is starting to try and read the stars and the winds. She's learning a little about wizardry and about how to defend yourself against magic, right?
I think then what happens, if I may,
yeah,
is that as you're standing out there, you feel there's a westerly wind that seems to caress your cheek.
Very good. Lastly, the Seven of Clubs. You discover part of an ancient burial ground. Describe the location and the things you learn there. How does this discovery make you feel? Oh, burial ground. I was going to twist this up and be like, I found something that I think is a burial ground, but I think my instinct in this case is telling me that I actually just find a cemetery. So
yeah,
I'm going to go with that. I think
time
that
to
it
Google
is.
Kiruna Cemetery.
Yeah. I think I just find like a straight up old cemetery. Like the church it was attached to is long gone, but the gravestones are still there. So there is a collapsed heap of rubble nearby that once was, a church, but nothing to be found there. But the headstones and stuff, they still stand. They're covered in snow. They have things written on them which we cannot read. Especially I cannot read it.
Kiruna Kierkegaard. What is a Kierkegaard? Churchyard?
That is a cemetery.
Okay.
Yep. So there is one.
Yeah, there's a crematorium and a Kierkegaard.
Cool. Good. So I found that, I guess, with a bunch of tombstones and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that the main thing that I learned there is the symbols on the graves, of course, look different than the ones on the post office. Because in the post office, they were actually just postcodes. I just assumed they were names. But now I notice, of course, that the symbols on these tombstones look entirely different. And also, there are a lot fewer of them. Curiously.
What could it mean?
Yeah. And so this puzzles me. I think I recognize them as graves. I think we have kept the tradition of having headstones because our culture is vaguely Viking coded. I think we do rune stones, right?
Yeah.
So these are clearly ancient rune stones, and I understand that much and that they convey or tell a message. And
do you get Foxcraft to read anything?
Yeah, I was thinking. I feel perplexed, and I think my first instinct would be to go to you, not to Foxcraft, because Foxcraft doesn't live in our house, right? He lives in this hunting party that's nearby. He hangs out with them, so I could go fetch him, but my first instinct is to fetch you. And I guess my question is, can you read what is written on the tombstones? You couldn't read what was written on the skis, but maybe you can read this.
So I mean, it would be in Swedish, which uses the Latin alphabet mostly.
Yeah.
I don't know if the extra characters and so on count as the Latin alphabet. I don't know how that's usually referred to. But anyway, you know what I mean.
Yes.
So I think if he couldn't read like the Latin alphabet on the skis on the logo, then I don't think he can
Mhm.
read the tombstone either.
Yeah, makes sense. So this is
Yeah.
all a mystery. And then I think Foxcraft doesn't know about it either. So it's a strange mystery because we found a trove of lore here. This is clearly important. They took the time to write this down on runestones.
Yeah. I think Foxcraft can read Chinese.
Okay, of course. Yeah, makes sense.
That's the one that he's chosen to learn.
Hmm.
For some reason, his Dune buggy has a Chinese instruction manual.
Yeah.
Yes. But
Uh,
anyway.
but yeah, I think we don't figure out anything about this. It's here. It's
Yeah.
tremendously haunting. And I think more and more we're learning that there was something up here that they chose to keep. And I think it troubles is all that no one can decode these messages. Because yeah, there's legacy to this, right? I raised a runestone over my husband. This is just a thing that you do. It's a thing that is done. And here are so many runestones from what must have been so many important chieftains. Ah, yes, that of course explains why there are fewer of them than there are boxes in the post office.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
obviously only the important people get runestones. That makes sense. Isolde has now
Yeah.
drawn this together in her head. But
And I think Isambert can tell you that he smells fire here, which is good because that means great warriors with funeral pyres.
ah, yes, of course.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we learned
So I
plenty
think
about this, but
yeah,
I think
I have an
I
idea.
don't have much to add.
I have an idea. I have
Cool.
a small idea.
Okay.
With Foxcraft's blessings and help, I think. So clearly, we know that these were great chieftains, and of course, they were honored by their people, but their people are gone.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there is a sorrow here that we cannot continue their legacies. But it is enough for us. But we know the chief facts, right? That these were great chieftains of in the far north, who had the great black roads, who had the dragons, and like achieved mighty feats that we are no longer capable of, right? We know all these
Yeah.
things about them. So I think what we should do is we should erect a runestone. We should erect a runestone with these facts that we know in our language.
Yeah, that makes sense. This
Yeah.
is very good.
Yes. So we do
So
that.
this is a project that we work on in the time that
Yes.
we have. Yeah,
Yeah. It is good.
it is good. All right, that's my turn.
That's your turn. Okay. I'll do one.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. 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 And this one. And that means let's do a flip. Let's do a flip. Ah, flipped. Okay, I'm looking at the Three of Hearts, which is of the things you left behind, what will you miss most and why? I mean, I
Okay.
already talked about chocolate.
But that's probably not the thing you miss most, right? That was
Yeah,
just the thing you struggle with.
that's too shallow. Yeah, that would never be it. That's too shallow.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway,
I miss my nephew. You've heard the second.
yeah, that makes sense.
Wonder how he's doing. I
Mhm.
asked for how long do you think it's been that we've been up here by the time
I
Foxcraft
imagined
shows
it
up?
as having been a few years, right?
Hmm.
Like maybe 3 at this point, and the third year is when they brought Foxcraft, which means that other people could come up here. Like maybe 3 to 5. I don't think we've been up here for like decades.
How old would Ivar the second be? No.
I imagine him when I left. I imagine him to be 6, and it's one of those situations where it's like, wow, it's entirely inappropriate for him to be chieftain, but that's how our society works. You know, he's the heir, so there you go. There's probably some sort of person that makes the decisions for him, but
Hmm.
he is officially the chieftain, even though he's 6 years old. And so
Hmm.
now he's, I guess, 9 or 10.
Hmm. Almost a man.
Yep.
Hmm. I think. I think it's. It's probably the case that when you're a young chieftain, you. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's about testing in battle. I don't think, even though we're Viking coded, I don't think it's a warrior culture as such. I don't think it
Yeah, makes sense.
I think it treats violence as a regrettable necessity, but like
Mhm.
you don't elect your strongest warrior as your king. That's not how it works
No.
anymore.
I think, in fact, from what we established earlier about what I did with my husband, I think we're much more about the hunting. Like, the reason that I have a bow and a boar spear is because nobility hunt. That is it's the pastime of the wealthy and the powerful, and
Yeah.
that's more how you get status than like killing people, right? It's like, you know, the form of ritual violence we do is against animals, not humans, I think.
I think then there's like a short sort of like checklist of feats that a king must perform, uh, or an
Mhm.
heir apparent must perform to be king, and a king
Yeah,
who has become a king essentially because there's someone else. To truly, leave aside his regent and become the actual lord of the dominion, he must also perform these feats. And they're kind of like age gated to an extent. Like you have to achieve
yeah.
this by this age.
Hmm.
So at the age of 10, he is expected to give his first judgment in court.
Okay.
And he is being taught by he's been shadowing his regent. Well, I don't know who this is, but he's been shadowing the regent in court. He's been keeping an eye out, and very soon, I think, like after his 10th birthday, he has to preside over an important decision for the first time. And
Interesting.
yeah, and I think
I
he's
think the
probably quite nervous about this.
Yeah, I think the regent is my sister-in-law. It is
Mm.
Ivar the First's sister who wound
Mm.
up being the regent.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, because hunting is obviously something. I think he's probably already like I don't know, used a ritual knife on a sacrificial animal. That's already been done, but that's easy, right? Hunting is probably a feat that he has to achieve when he's 16,
Yeah.
because that's dangerous.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, just thinking about Ivar a bit. Yeah. So I think we are all eager for stories about Ivar. I think that's the nicest
Hmm.
thing about Foxcraft and the hunting party being here, that we hear about Ivar and how he's doing.
Yeah.
You probably didn't know that he had done his first ritual sacrifice.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
And I think hearing news, Isolde is once more conflicted because she really wants to go back to see her son. But again, there is this shame coding in our society that she is supposed to be in seclusion and
Mm.
not participate in courtly life. I think it's not that she's forbidden from seeing her son per se. It's just that she's expected not to participate in matters of court, and he is expected to participate in matters of court like 100% of the time, since he has to do all
Mm.
these trials and stuff. So it's just not really possible, right?
Mm. Yeah, that's sad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Seven of
All
Diamonds.
right.
Describe an area in your home used for recreation. What do you do there? Sauna time.
Hell yeah, we gotta have a sauna.
We gotta
That's
have a sauna.
Yeah,
You,
absolutely.
yeah. I won't even elaborate on this further. Actually, maybe we
Nope.
probably should. Um, hmm. Do you think
I
there's
mean, we
anything
can
unusual
establish.
about our saunas compared to what we're used to?
So
Out
in
of
real
character, I
world
mean.
saunas, you have
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So in real world saunas, you have the birch branches and
Yeah.
stuff. And I think we have. I want to go with like our world is weirdly rich in like this strange fungal lichen life. Like it
Hmm.
sustains us up here. There's just so much of it that we never have to worry about food. It seems because our characters seem to have a lot of spare time, so they probably just collect it off the trees and like it's plenty of food, plenty of stuff. So I think maybe it's not a lichen that we keep in there to add the scent to it. In fact, I think it's some sort of rarer herb that grows on the trees, kind of like mistletoe, something like that.
Hmm.
That came about. Uh, I think legend has it that it didn't exist before the fall of the old world. It came about as like a sign of the new world spiring, so it's considered a sign of good luck. And this mistletoe-like herb, we burn it in the saunas, and it creates a mild high.
Hmm.
So it's like not only do you get the sauna experience, you also get slightly intoxicated, And in fact, one of the wizard rituals is to sit in a sauna for a really, really fucking long time, like endurance sauna, while burning lots of this stuff to go on like vision quests.
Okay, because I wanted to add something really fucked up that I think
Okay,
this
good.
leans into. Fucked up in a, well, I guess yeah, fucked up in a general sense too, but more weird. So we bring the foxes in with us, and I have one on my lap, you have the other on your lap, and I think the
Okay.
heat basically stuns them, makes them go into like a sort of torpor sort of thing.
Yeah.
And once we are properly well and stoned, part of the reason we can have this greater endurance feat, you and I, if you wish to partake, when I think sometimes I
Yep.
ask you to,
Yep.
is that we, in the Game of Thrones sense, we warg into the foxes.
Ah,
And
okay.
the foxes are the ones who run out of the sauna and gamble in the snow and cool off again.
Okay.
And then they
Sure.
come back in. Yes.
That's weird and strange. Absolutely. I want to build on to this then.
Yes.
That I don't think it's normal for non-wizards to participate in this endurance thing. I think non-wizards take a little bit of the herb, do a normal sauna. Maybe you trip balls a little bit, but you're not like.
Yeah.
But I think the actually doing this endurance sauna thing with an animal companion is an initiation trial for becoming a wizard, and I think that you are awakening a little bit of my magic doing this.
Now, why am I doing this? The answer is boredom.
Yeah. But we've already established that it's all this learning a little bit of the world of magic, and I think as we sauna, as we do this ritual, and you get bored, I start to also go beyond the just tripping balls and into the actually seeing spirits territory.
Yeah, we had a conversation when we first came in where you expressed, that it was not enough for you to just hang out with the baby muskox. So clearly you need more enrichment.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more exciting than the world of magic.
Yeah. And I'm basically a nun now. I may as well dedicate myself to something otherworldly and esoteric. So there you go.
Yeah. I think Isambird is trying to very gently say that that's not a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know where you came up with this vow of celibacy thing, but that's not a thing.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that's an awkward conversation to have with your sister. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
All right.
So what did I do? It was those diamonds. Spades. That's 4 of spades. You come across a creature in the wilds that you have never seen before. Describe the encounter. Do you tell the others about it? Wow.
Does this happen while we are tripping balls? Or does this happen outside of the context of a vision quest, I guess is the question.
I think it's funnier if it happens outside of the context of the vision quest.
Okay.
Now, what could I encounter in the frigid north that I've never seen before? Something truly northern, I think. So we have muskoxes.
About polar bears, but
yeah, where do muskoxes actually live? Like in the real world?
That's a very good question.
Do they actually live in the Nordics?
Oh no, they live in Canada and Greenland.
No, they live. Apparently, they live in Norway. At least.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So I've seen muskoxes. So I don't think anything of that nature would be like, wow. I could encounter a polar bear, but this seems like a chill encounter with the strange and uncanny, not oh my fucking god, wah.
Okay.
Which is
maybe it's a walrus. We're very far from the sea, but
now that would be a bizarre encounter.
Yeah, maybe the ocean got fucking weird in the apocalypse though. Like maybe northern Norway doesn't exist, so we're a lot closer to the ocean than you would think.
Yeah. I think also yeah. So we encounter a walrus by the frozen lake.
Okay.
Ooh, no. It's a species of freshwater walrus.
Okay.
Yeah,
sure.
Because evolution's been happening. Yeah. It's a freshwater variation on the walrus. So I'm imagining it's sleeker. It's like a more. It resembles a seal more than a walrus in terms of fat density and so on.
Yeah.
But it's still as long, and it still has the long ice teeth and so on. I don't actually know what walruses do with those. I guess they use it for mating ritual purposes. But these guys, they use them to clamber on along the ice, to kind of
Okay.
essentially slide down the ice, put their teeth down, kind of like a. So I think what happens is that there's suddenly a very bizarre explosion of noise from like Westish, and then like an entire family group of these walruses skedaddle down the ice towards the lake, smash against the lake, and then use their teeth to break into the ice and go for a swim.
Okay.
And Assembled is just looking at this like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's
And I
fair
think
enough, I think.
Isolde is just upset because this was her like peaceful retreat and other animals here. And as we have established, our people may not be super warlike and super savage, but I think that we are far from vegetarian and
Yeah.
consider fighting with animals for sport a glorious thing. And Isolde is almost offended that these beasts would invade her personal space and goes to get her spear. And it's like, if you
Yeah.
don't stop her, she's gonna stab a bitch.
Yeah, I think it's embarrassed to point out that there's like several dozen of them and they appear to
Yeah.
have swords.
Yeah. And Isolde is troubled. And this is again interesting culturally, I think, because I think you can see her flashback to some instinct when she was still queen, right? Where she would be
Hmm.
like, then rally the troops, cut these beasts down, mount their hides on my walls, and then she, is about to give that order before she realizes she has no troops and
Yeah.
not enough wall space to mount them on.
I mean, there's a hunting party, but I think they also see
Mhm.
the sword armed walrus things and go,
Yeah, and I'm also meant to be in seclusion, so I'm not allowed to command them. But I think for the first time, Isolde
yeah, yeah.
finds something of her old self at these beasts invading her personal space, and she's irritable. And it's like the first time she really goes like, "Man, I wish I had my hunting party. These things
Lovely.
probably taste delicious too." But
Hmm.
yeah,
Ooh, I found a relevant card afterwards. So this is the two
cool.
of clubs. You discovered the remnants of an old object in the water near your home. Well,
Mm. Yeah,
the
we
water
just
just
had access to the
yeah,
water, so yeah.
yeah. Enough of it remains to be usable. Describe the object and tell the others what you think it was used for. What could be done there? Could be down in the water. That still is usable. Trying to think. Okay, fuck it. Um, I think we have to pull it out. But but it's an object that looks a lot like Foxcraft's dune buggy. It's
Okay.
a snowmobile.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Snowmobile stuck in the ice,
yeah,
freed by the walruses.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
We pull it out with our muskoxes.
Yeah.
Uh, it turns out that if you approach the walruses nicely and distract them with
Mm.
lichen and so on, they don't they aren't shy. They aren't hugely territorial. They're territorial against each other to an extent, like they fight each other. But like we're just a
Yeah.
bunch of humans, so
Hmm.
we don't bother them. So we can go up to
Yeah.
them. We can tie ropes around the snowmobile and pull it out slowly.
Mm.
Um, I think it's pretty obvious what it was used for because it looks like we Foxcroft has his dune buggy,
Yeah.
so it's pretty obvious. Even though, and this thing has like some sort of like skate-like blades up towards the
Yeah.
front, so even better suited
Yeah.
for
I mean,
this area.
yeah, we have sleds, right? So it's not
Yeah,
strange to have a sled that maybe it's magical and can propel itself, but the idea is simple enough.
yeah. Now Foxcraft has access to a very esoteric substance, a
Hmm.
strange sort of like a gloopy black liquid that he uses for his dune buggy,
Yeah.
uh, and which only the most powerful mages should be using because it's a dangerous, smelly substance that can also explode.
Yeah.
Foxcraft obviously didn't bring any up here with him,
No.
but that's probably what this thing also needs.
Yep. Yeah. I imagine. Do you try to repair it?
I don't think that is within. Okay, so I think Foxcraft knows how this could be repaired because he
Hmm.
does maintenance on his dune buggy. So I
Yeah.
think we could probably figure it out, but we didn't bring any. He didn't bring his toolbox with him because
Yeah.
those ancient tools only work on ancient things, and he had no particular
Hmm.
reason to expect to use them up here.
Yeah. Makes sense.
hmm
All
Actually,
right.
now that I think about it, probably the case is that this is an electric snowmobile,
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
the black gold wouldn't even help. But we don't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. However, this thing can
Hmm.
probably be mounted behind the muskox and used as a sled, like
That's
a
true.
heavy and unwieldy one. But
Yeah, we can do that if we ever want to
yep,
return back to civilization.
exactly.
Oh yeah. So I'll put this card away. These cards all gone.
Yep. And then
So,
it's question time, and then I do another round, and then we'll see how we feel.
yeah.
And now it's me who begins asking the questions.
Yes.
And my first question to you is: do you want to leave this place at this point?
I think I'm having second thoughts.
Hmm?
Foxcraft has told me that I'm meddling with things that I don't entirely understand. There's a dragon. Uh, I have this love affair with the wind, but honestly, that's easy come, easy go.
Hmm.
Uh, with the wind, it's a fickle thing. No one's really expecting
Yeah.
it to last. But there can also be cruel. The south wind, I'm scared about that. Uh, and there's an intellectual curiosity about like trying to take this snowmobile back and seeing what we can do because that dune buggy of Foxcraft,
Mm.
that's he's known for that. It's
Yeah.
remarkable.
Hmm.
It's finding a second one of these. That's not nothing.
Yep.
But still not enough to be like, yeah, let's go south. He's thinking
Hmm.
about it though,
Yep.
and he makes sure he thinks about this while indoors, so that the sky serpent doesn't hear.
Mm. Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. What's
Question
your
for
question for me?
you. Let's have a quick look. How has your time here changed you?
Yeah, I think the main thing it has done, which comes out with this confrontation with the walrus, is I think Isolde has slowly become more irritable and angry at the loneliness. I think she began when we first moved out here, and for like the first year or two, she was very much like, I am to live in seclusion, this is right and proper, I have made my decision, this is the honorable thing to do, right?
Mm.
And she's increasingly gone like, well, fuck honor, I'm lonely and bored. And she's too stubborn to go back on her decision, and as mentioned, she's like embarrassed to be seen again
Mm.
after having made this decision. But she's also starting to go a little bit crazy at being stuck in the north, and I think she's had these moments. Like the thing with the walruses is the most obvious one, but she's had these moments where she sometimes just forgets herself and goes like, "Get my retinue, get my X," and remembering that she doesn't have the thing anymore, and then
Mm.
getting really annoyed that she doesn't have the thing anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds like
so that's
someone
the
stuck
main
in
thing.
Kurna.
Yep,
Mm.
pretty much. So yeah, I think she's gotten more hot-headed than she used to be.
Lovely. Let us continue.
Let
Mm.
us.
Those are
So
good
I
numbers.
draw the 8 of hearts, the 10 of diamonds,
Ah.
and then the 8 of spades and clubs. So a lot of 8s.
Mm. Yeah, our draw patterns have been interesting. I did shuffle though.
Yeah, yeah. So 8 of hearts. What secret have you kept from the others? Who finds out and how? Interesting.
There are now multiple others in the area.
Yeah, there are. What secret have you kept from the others?
Have you been pursuing this west wind thing?
Yeah, that's the obvious one. Um, but I think just because it's the obvious thing, I want to go in a different direction because I always do this. I want to introduce other elements. Oh no, okay, I know what secret I've kept. Remember that door that you advised me to knock on? We
Yes.
went there and nothing came of it.
Mhm.
I got it open and I have not told anyone.
Ooh.
And I think the reason that I kept the secret is that you told me about this whole like listen to the metal and knock, and I knocked on it and I didn't find out anything. But I've been back to this post office several times. Eventually, I just opened it. It took a lot of muscle strength, but I figured out how to turn the vault door with like a lever, and I figured out how to get inside it. And
But you did
I think
knock, right?
I think I did. It
Mm.
didn't seem to do anything.
Okay,
So
that's fair.
it was like,
That's
what the
good.
fuck?
There's no one in there that you're interrupting.
Yeah. hmm And I think what she found down there was like enormous amounts of treasure, and she didn't tell anyone because she like wizards don't care about treasure, right? And the Foxcraft seemed wrong to tell about, and I meant to tell you, but I never got around to it because you were always busy and it didn't seem like it's something you care about. But I think what was down in that vault was what would be precious to us and stored in a vault like this.
Something that lasts. What if we're still using paper currency?
Ah, yeah,
As like, yeah.
yeah. I think
I mean,
that's
we
a
can
cool
still
idea.
print out our own, but I think like we still
Mhm.
use it because that's what the ancients used. So obviously
Yeah.
that must have been a good idea. And probably like
Uh-huh.
ancient currency is worth a lot more than current currency.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, honestly. People have done this historically, where like old coins are valuable.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think we still use paper currency um, in this way, probably just because like the paper it's printed on is also precious and requires old tech. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's just cash. It's a bunch of money down in the vault of this post office that was used for various transactions back in the day, alongside of course a variety of other things that people keep in a bank vault. Like, there's probably some things that have lasted, like jewelry, a necklace, maybe a gold watch that's still operational because it's like a ridiculously high quality Swiss watch. So it's a treasure trove.
Mhm.
And I think Isolde just uncovers this, and it's one of these. We see this contrast between her current persona of like, I'm gonna be in isolation and be a wizard, versus like her old self, right? Where she realizes that like, wow, with this amount of treasure, like I don't need a husband. I could start my own kingdom with this wealth.
Mm.
And
Isolde
she
doesn't
doesn't know
know
what to
about
do with it.
inflation yet.
Yeah, and she genuinely doesn't know what to do with it. I think it's a big treasure trove that, without a doubt, in her old life she would have celebrated this and thrown like a grand feast and uh, done the thing you do when you find a grand treasure. And now she just has no idea, and it doesn't seem like a matter for wizards. So after a while, she
Mm.
just doesn't bring it up. But she closes the door again carefully. But then someone does find out, and I think it happens after the walrus incident and after she becomes more irritable. I think she fetches some of the jewelry,
Hmm.
just to get some sense of luxury back. Like, we have a little mirror, and back when she was a queen, obviously she would wear like silver jewelry and fancy clothes, and she has totally abandoned that. And the mirror has just been for practical purposes since then. But I think Isambard catches her at some moment, like opening her heavy overcoat and admiring a gold necklace that wasn't there before. And this is
Hmm.
when the story comes out that she has actually found like a bunch of gold and cash
Hmm.
under the house of many homes.
Hmm. 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 I
Yeah.
think, yeah, Isambard is wowed by this because, I mean, he doesn't care about being rich, but money is nice.
Yeah.
That means more chocolate bars and more, like, I don't know, fuel for experiments and stuff.
hmm
Uh, so I think he's wowed by it too, but he think he knows even less about money than Isolde does.
Yeah.
And I think all he says is, this would be a mighty treasure to bring back to Evard II. This would turn him into the of the greatest chieftain in the world. I mean, truly. Could hire all the swords he wanted. He could purchase great raiments for his people. There would be lamps in every home, warmth.
Yeah. Isolde looks pained as you say this, I think, looking at herself in the mirror. And then she puts a hand to her chest over the necklace and she says, "Do you trust Foxcraft to bring it down to him?" And I think you can see this irrationality in her, that she still thinks that like she can't bring it herself, even though she wants to, because it's improper. But also, it's a stupid thing to entrust anyone with if you don't trust them absolutely.
There is more here than Foxcraft alone can bring.
Yes, that is true.
And he's like looking at all these things. He can't read. Oh, I think we can read numbers because
Mhm.
we still use the numeral system because we try to make our
Yeah.
currency look like old currency.
Hmm.
So he's looking at the numbers, and his eyebrows are high as he's trying to imagine, like, as he's trying to calculate this wealth, which is unimaginable.
Yeah.
And then he says, "But should Ivar have all of this? This is, if you can buy the entire world, will people let you buy it? If a boy has this much power and wealth, will they let him keep it?"
You're right. Speak nothing of this. We will preserve it until he has passed his hunting trial. Only then will he be ready for it. Once he has
How will
slain a great beast, no one will question his authority, and no one will try to. They might still try, but it will be harder to take it from him.
Yeah, I think Isenberg's been wanting to have a conversation like this for a while. Then he just says, so I think we should stay in the scene a little bit, actually. So I think
Mhm.
Isenberg says, "And how will you know that he has passed his hunting trial?"
I can count the passing of the seasons. I know what time it will occur.
You
And she
know, the
looks at you
time
with
that it
like, "Are
should
you
occur.
saying my?" Yeah, she's looking at you with the like, "Are you saying my son won't pass the trial?" Very offended by this idea.
He may pass it before his time, he may pass it after his time. He may pass other trials before. There are many ways to manhood. There are many paths. He's a good boy. But you cannot expect boys, or girls, or anyone else for that matter, to age according to the rules. Things happen. The surest way to know that your son has passed the hunting trials is to be there by his side. The surest way to know your son has passed the hunting trials is teach him to hunt.
You know I
Is it
cannot
not?
go back,
And why not? Why not, sister?
because I swore myself to solitude after my husband's passing. It is the
But you are not
dignified thing
alone.
to do.
But you are not alone. I am here with you. We have the foxes, the oxen, the walruses are here now. Foxcraft has brought a hunting party.
I have not spoken to the hunting party. I have only spoken to wizards and animals, neither of which count, he says impudently.
Mm-hmm. He gives a smile. Return home and speak only to your son. And wizards and animals.
You know that is not possible. He has a retinue, he has people around him, and she pauses somewhat awkwardly, like,
Will they not
no,
let his mother pass through the retinue?
there is also another, and she is referring to the knight whose name I have forgotten, but the knight that tried to marry her is the sticking point. I think she feels very awkward about facing him again.
Mm-hmm. He's a mighty one. He owns a longship that brings trade. He has killed a bear. But Ivar's mother, Isolde of the North, will come bearing a box that alone will make Ivar the wealthiest man in the North. The North as the people of the South understand it. And she will know where to find even more and more, if Ivar is ready, if Ivar needs it, if Ivar's descendants need them. She has seen a dragon. She has run with the foxes, and she speaks to the west wind. Oh, yes, I know this.
You
Are
say I should go
you?
back?
I say that if you go back, you are worthier by far than anyone in the retinue. You are one whom this owner of long ships would cow to speak to. You have nothing to fear, no shame, only honor. And I know you miss your son.
Yeah, I think she is taken aback, quiet, and
Sometimes we don't know how cool we are until someone tells you you're cool.
Hmm. She, I think, retreats from the vault, having shown it to you, and pushes the door shut.
Mm.
And she says, "There is no traveling now. I will decide when the hunting party returns whether to go with them."
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think
Yeah.
Isambard nods.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think we'll run down the rest of my cards and then we'll see.
Yeah.
Right?
What
But I
happens?
think, yeah, we'll see what happens. But I think the idea is definitely in Isolde's head now.
Mm-hmm.
My next card is the 10 of Diamonds, which is interesting since he's now considering leaving. You decide to add another building to your property. Describe its purpose, what happens during construction.
Mm-hmm. People do this sort of thing all
So,
the time.
yeah. I think Isolde throws herself into something just to be distracted now, because now she's just kind of waiting and thinking and doesn't know what to do, and is in this strange limbo. And so having something to busy herself with, I think in fact she tries to restore this building. Like, we have used it as a home, but I think what she does is she tries to restore it to being a hunting lodge, which was its original purpose. And so I think she digs out a cellar to store hunted game in. Like, it's not quite a cellar, but like a halfway dug down room for like smoking meat and stuff and preserving what you've caught. And she has no real reason for this other than wanting to keep busy, but it's also like, if the idea is there that she is to return south, then it would be nice to have a northern hunting lodge. Like, this place has become quite useful now. And so that's what she builds out. And I think what happens during construction is sort of organically. Maybe this is Foxcraft's initiative, maybe it's Isambard's. But I think somewhat organically, the hunting party like show up and ask her, like, can we put some of the meat we caught here? Can we like use this to smoke it? Can we store it here? Because we're still hunting for like a long time, like a month. It would be useful. And it's one of these awkward things where Isolde still is very serious about her isolation thing, so she doesn't speak with them. But as she's constructing this, she just kind of walks out and acknowledges with a nod that yes, they may. And from this point on, she is only in isolation in a technical sense, in that she doesn't talk to these people, but she has interactions with them.
I think Foxcraft and I can act as in betweens as well. So in a sense, like I think, if I may, I think like eventually you start talking to them, but like through intermediaries, which softens the thing even further.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's a cool idea. So yeah. And so more or less, actually, Isolde finds herself more or less organizing a hunt, just talking through intermediaries, where she goes, yes, I've scouted out the area. There's good game over there. You can go hunt many reindeer, come back, smoke them.
Yeah, I have nothing to add further.
8 of Spades. Exploring well beyond your home, you discover a place with an air of mystery. What strangeness did you witness there? So, I guess this ties into the hunting party. I think this is all of us going. It's effectively a hunting expedition. I think Isolde knows where a herd of reindeer is. And this will be, now that we have many hunters, this will be very useful. So we pursue them further than we would normally go. Like, further away from the post office and the other landmarks that we've explored beyond. And the place we find with an air of mystery and the strangest witness there is, I think, the main mining pit, which is just, we found a small one that had been turned into a lake before, but I think this one is just unfathomably vast. And for whatever reason, I guess normally in the real world, this would fill up with water. No, I know what's happened. So it has filled up with water, but because of some chemical that's leached out from the groundswell, it's not frozen. So there is this like weird lake of probably blue, because it probably has like, I don't know precisely what contaminants are in the mines at Kiruna, but this happens sometimes, right? Copper and stuff leaches into the water. And in this case, whatever strange chemicals combined with the weird magic of our world has meant that this water does not freeze.
And
So
there's
no
animals near it.
No. The big pit lake of toxic water that refuses to freeze.
Yeah. I think we immediately understand that this is sorceress. I have a question though. Is this not near the excavator?
Yes, I think it is.
Ooh,
I think it's
getting daring.
I
getting near
think
it.
it's near the excavator, but I think the reason why this works actually is that we go around it. I think what happens is we come upon this on our way back, like we follow the reindeer north, and then we cut back and we realize that, like, okay, if we are to make it back before we run out of supplies, we have to take that route. And this is also why we didn't see the lake the last time, because the excavator was on our side of the lake, so to speak, and we never went beyond it, so we never saw the lake. But now we're coming from the other side, and so we see it.
Mm.
And this delays us, but yes, it's obviously sorcerers, right? It's like this unnaturally blue water. It doesn't freeze. There's probably carcasses of animals nearby, because this is also a thing that happens with pit lakes, where animals just like land in the water and then die.
Yeah.
So
There's probably a whole bunch of walruses nearby.
yeah.
I think Isambard immediately, when he hears about this, declares it to be Dragon's Blood.
Yeah, this is some fucked up shit, and I think this reasonably scares Isolde and the hunting party, because this is one of the most insane things they have ever seen.
I think what happens is that a couple of days later, Isambard and Foxcrat come back
Yeah.
with walrus skulls
Mhm.
that they're holding very gingerly because they have filled it up with dragon's blood.
Mm.
And then we see sort of like muffled argument near the snow.
Yeah.
And then a big gout of flame and a horrible noise as the dragon's blood turns out to be perfectly capable of fueling the snowmobile
Oh shit.
for a tiny
Okay.
bit, or not for very long.
Yeah. Okay. So the snowmobile can run on very alkaline toxic waste. It's
It's,
interesting.
it's not. It's not
Well, you're
great.
wizard. Yeah. Hmm.
Probably some of the excavator's fuel has been leaking down here as well.
Ah, yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
yeah, that's wizardry.
Yeah. We'll leave it
Yeah.
there. I'll go to the 8 of clubs.
Yeah.
Yes. So, 8 of clubs. You find a site that appears to have ritual significance. Describe what you find and say if it has any connections to the other discoveries you've made so far. So the site with I'm just gonna go with the lake we found. I think this happens as we find the lake, so before you've come back and done your experimenting. The site that has ritual significance is obviously the what was once, what do you call this? Like the administrative building for the mine. Like it's still there. There is a building in which people, not even administrative, but like where they kept all the computers and all the other advanced equipment that goes into mining, like where people remote control vehicles and communicate down with people deep in the mine and have all the computers and stuff. It's there, it's intact, and it is incredibly foreboding to us. I don't think any of us consider entering this building because it looks imperiously out over the lake, and it has this look of it of being like, whatever these people did here, it was big magic. It was such big magic that it created an entire unfrozen lake and with dragons around it.
Yeah. I wonder how we feel about computers.
Yeah,
What does a wizard make of a computer?
indeed. But in this case, I don't even think that we see them other than through the windows, because I don't think we dare to enter the building.
Hmm.
But there's obviously a bunch of machinery in there that's like, yeah, computers and control centers and stuff, these big ass panels from which you
Yeah.
can overview everything that's going on.
I think wizards are scared of computers.
Yep, makes sense.
They call them the ones who speak without souls.
Yeah. Maybe they're even blamed for the apocalypse. Like maybe we live in some sort of aftermath of like a robot uprising.
Yeah. I mean, computers, whatever the form of the apocalypse would take, if it's a man-made sort of thing, if any capacity,
Yeah.
it would be done through computers.
Yeah, this is true. So
Yeah.
they are remembered as very cursed things. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. I mean, they have
So,
the magic glass for the face. They
mhm.
runes and images flash across them. Those who
Yeah.
can communicate with them become addicted to them.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just bad news. And you
Yeah.
found a whole office full of them? Wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
This place is extremely ultra cursed, and we should go back to the post office and not come back to this pit. I think is the
Yes.
conclusion.
Yes.
And with that, my turn is over. And you have one turn, and then I think we're in a good place to wrap it up and go to epilogues after your round, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. Okay, so that's a 10 of hearts. Let's start with that.
Mm-hmm.
What has this place given you that you could not gain elsewhere? Oh. We haven't talked about the serpent in a while.
Yeah. Let's talk about the serpent.
So, of course, there is the fact that the serpent is there. That's something that I can get only in this place. But just the solitude and so on. Oh, you know what? I'm going to take Foxcraft to look at the serpent. Like, properly look at the serpent through the witch glass of the greenhouse.
Ah, yes.
And we're going to sit there and look up at the sky at the serpent. And we're going to interpret it together. And I won't go into the details because of course it'll be esoteric and beyond our comprehension, right? Like, and when I say ours, I mean you and I.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea is that I want Foxcraft to look at this thing and get it, like understand why it draws me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's going to be a slightly sad conversation afterwards where he says that he never doubted the allure of the serpent, its beauty, but that it is one of those mysteries that is not for us to comprehend or understand. Like, it's beyond us. And even though people think wizards, being a wizard is all about like constant knowledge. You just keep learning more and more things. You keep learning all the secrets of the earth. But being a wizard is also knowing what is your remit and what isn't.
Yeah.
But that it is beautiful. So I think that brings some sort of closure, because it's not that he doesn't understand. He does.
Yeah.
And in fact, I realize that he understands all too well.
I like that.
Oh, yeah. Next one is 3 of diamonds. How large is your home? What rooms do you have in it? This is a funny one to draw at this point. So we have the main cabin, which I think the vibe of the main cabin is probably that there was like the big sleeping quarters and probably like an associated place for like the hunting dogs and so on to sleep in, right?
Yeah.
And probably there was like a storeroom to keep the game.
Mm-hmm.
So probably those were there, and now you have renovated this further, right? You haven't added a new room, or did I misunderstand you?
No, I did add the like essentially a pantry, like a place to store lots of food.
Okay, so
this was very small scale originally. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it was so when I said the shed earlier, it was kind of more like an outhouse sort of thing, like not really.
Yeah.
Probably even got blew down on its own.
Mm-hmm.
So now you added that back. We have the sauna. I think that's probably a bit subterranean.
Yeah.
What else is there? I think that's it, right? I don't think I think this is just a moment to reaffirm what we have here.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we need to add anything to it. It's nice going over our house as our story draws to a close.
Oh, look at this one. There's a body of water near your home from which you source your water. What makes it unique?
Mm-hmm. Well,
then again, okay, so it was not the Walrus Lake, of course.
No.
Because we couldn't access that before. It obviously is not Dragon Blood Lake.
Mm-hmm.
There was another lake near where I used to dance with the wind spirit. But of course, in a sense, like there's water everywhere because we're surrounded by snow.
Mm-hmm.
What makes it unique? I think this is the main reason we would go into the snow hills that shift around all the time, because it's pure snow, like mountains and mountains of snow, and it was the safest drinking water. Like of course you can just go out and just get some other snow and so on, but I think we have some idea of like We don't understand germ theory and so on, but I think we have some understanding of like that some water is better than others.
Yeah.
And because this snow is clearly magical and alive, like probably some other ancient wizard's old decaying spell or something,
Hmm.
something to guard the mines or something. I don't know. But
Yeah.
because of it, it's clearly the magic, I theorize, makes it healthy to drink.
Yeah.
And that turns out to be true. And what makes it unique is that it's a defense mechanism actively designed to stop people from ingressing or aggressing. So you have to be careful. But I'm a
Hmm.
wizard. That's okay.
Yep.
I got this.
I like this dynamic of like it's safer to drink, but it's not safer to fetch. So
Yes. Yes.
yep.
But
So
you know,
you are in charge of fetching water.
yes. I mean, I think you can probably do it too when the
Hmm.
snow's really bad and so on. But well, why would you want to go there during that
Yeah.
time?
Hmm.
Okay.
All right.
So 5 of clubs. You discover scraps from a device seemingly used for transport. What could it have been? Can you use what remains? Okay, so we have had the snowmobile, we have had the plane. What about the train?
Mm.
I know, I definitely know that Kurna has a train.
Trains, planes, and snowmobiles. Yes.
Yes. Da-da-da. Yeah, so I think we find the remnants of the train.
Hmm.
I don't know where Kurna's rail station is. I assume it's not underground.
Don't know actually. I have not gone there by train.
Yeah. Wait, does Kurna have a train? Yeah, Gurun has a train station. Yeah, so I think we find probably buried under the snow. Um, the the struts and skeletons of yet another beast. This one seems to be entirely armored and shelled, uh, like uh, like a pangolin or an armadillo. I like the idea that for some reason we know what an armadillo or a pangolin is.
Yes. We don't know what a train is, but we do know pangolins. Yep.
Yes. So it resembles one of those, like a big, but
Hmm.
it also resembles a snake much more than anything else. So this appears to be a dragon too, but clearly dead.
Yeah. I think also this
Hmm?
is associated with the black serpents of the ground, right? This
Ah, yeah.
I think we get our wires crossed and believe that this is the thing that crawled along the black veins of the earth.
Yes. Yes. And perhaps
Yeah.
made new roads, like snails
Yeah.
create trails.
Yes, that's the theory.
Yes.
Obviously, this thing is the creator of the roads. That is a very logical interpretation.
Hmm.
Supported by the fact that there isn't a road underneath it, just some bits of rusted metal. So it clearly hadn't, finished here yet.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So looking at it, so it's 5 of clubs. What could it have been? Can you use what remains? It would be disrespectful. I mean, we can probably take the
Yeah.
scrap metals and so on and probably do things with it. In fact, probably like if we didn't consider disrespectful, train armor would probably be incredibly good armor.
Hmm.
But like it's kind of like the great amount of money, right?
Hmm.
Like you don't want to introduce this sort of like a weaponry into the world.
Yeah,
I think we have taboos against this, like against developing further forms of weaponry
that makes
from the
sense.
ancient
Yeah.
past. Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
like
Maybe
I
this
think
is
that.
why.
Hmm? Hmm?
Maybe this is why our culture has evolved to be so oriented around hunting too, in the sense
Yeah,
that there is something. Yeah, there's no arms race with animals in the same way, right? So it makes
yeah,
sense to be.
yeah. Like
Mhm.
I think all we know about the past is that the machines, people used the machines because the machines kind of like blinded them from the real cost of killing.
Mhm.
And we
Yeah.
know that the people of yesteryear thought that if you keep making better and better weapons, the less likely you were to use them.
Mhm. And it
Which
turns out they were
is
very wrong about that. So
yes, yes, obviously, if you put it that way, right?
yeah. Yeah.
But
Uh-huh.
somehow they were convinced by this, and we have to make sure that we don't know how someone can think like that, but we know people thought like that, and we have to make sure we never repeat that pattern.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it. So the end result is we just leave the train. It's just, yeah, this is interesting, but to bring it back would be to bring back the thing that caused the apocalypse. So let's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like not immediately, not in any immediate sense, but it's on the road towards big war. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. All right. That's it then.
Mm. Yeah. So
Do you want to
this,
continue or is it epilogue time?
I think it's a good point for epilogue here. I think
Yeah, I think so.
our character arcs are set. And I think this is often how this game works. Like you find at a certain point that you know your character's future now. And I think it's an interesting game because when you start out, you know nothing about your character. You know like a single trait of them. And I think it's nice to end the game where you go like, yeah, I have a sense of who my character is and what they want now. And I think I do. Do you?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have exhausted the mysteries of the. I think we have. I think now Isenbert's curiosity has been sated, and now he's ready
Mm-hmm.
to look back towards the south
Yeah.
and the ground and his nephew. He would.
Mm-hmm.
I think the
Yeah.
reason he didn't talk about his own feelings about going south is that he didn't want Isolde to be burdened by that. To like, oh, I have to
Yeah.
go back because Isenbert wants to go back,
Mm-hmm.
but he
Yeah.
does want to go back.
So the future, your epilogue. When all cards have been drawn, compose your epilogue. All cards haven't been drawn, but we are ending it here because we are satisfied with our story.
Mhm.
Together, discuss your findings, weave the tale of the past, and describe the end of your character's tale. Together, answer the following questions. Do you live out your lives here or eventually leave? Is question number 1.
I think
And
we definitely leave after the hunting season.
yeah, I think we leave with the hunters, in fact. And I think Isolde makes token gestures at this whole, like, I'm not talking to the hunters, actually. And has Isambard translate for her, which is very tedious. But I think that this is a fiction that eventually wears down. It's gradual. I think she makes a big show of it when she returns because of this like sense of pride, right? They're like, no, I'm technically still in isolation. I'm only talking to Isambard. I'm not even talking to my son directly. But this does not last. Like eventually, she just kind of reintegrates into society, and it becomes a very sour point and a point of pride whenever like someone brings up the fact that she is supposed to be in seclusion, but people very quickly learn not to do that, I think. So, yeah. What about Isambard?
No, I think he definitely wants to leave, and I think he's sad to leave the serpent behind. He's sad to leave the east wind behind. But I think the time up here has like solidified and reframed his relationship to Foxcraft away from being such an overbearing dad sort of relationship sort of thing. Which I think is very
Yeah.
funny because Isambard, when you look at it, is clearly like, I don't know, at least 40, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but people can have strained
Yeah,
relationship with their father figures at that age. So,
yeah.
mhm.
So I think yeah, that's good. I don't have much to add. Like he comes back.
Yeah, we return to civilization, and I think Isolde. My feeling is that Isolde is like a good decade younger than him. That she's like 30, right? Because her son is 6, which means she had
Yeah.
her son at like 24, which seems reasonable.
Yes.
Yeah, and now she returns as basically, I think, takes over the regency in her 30s and is probably a much more suitable leader than anyone else, really. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, I had forgotten that the rest of the questions actually are not about ourselves. So I
yeah,
think I'm happy to talk a little bit more about
yeah.
Isambard actually.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think they bring the snowmobile back,
Mhm.
and that's definitely interesting.
Mhm.
It's not useful. It's not as useful in the south, where I think we get snow in the south, of course. Like we know
Yeah.
what skates and so on are.
Mhm.
But it's not nearly this bad.
Yeah.
Actually, no. I think another thing about it, yeah, I think it's much better suited to the south because up north it's like way too much now.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
I
think
think
it's, we have winters. There's snow throughout the winter. A snowmobile is very useful in that season. So,
yeah. So I think after Foxcraft passes, right,
mhm.
uh, Isambard kind of like becomes known as the master of a vehicle,
Mhm.
and that becomes like because you don't use a snowmobile on the road.
Mhm.
Well, technically you don't use a dune bike on the road either, but at least the dune
Yeah.
bike can go on the road.
Mhm.
Uh, but so this kind of like represents his the fact that he is interested on the earth and the matters of the soil, but that it represents that he has a different path. He does not. He's not interested in the black serpents. He is interested in the people of the north and the wilds and so on. Every now and then, I think he returns to the north to have a look at the great serpent of the sky, and it just marks him not a true iconoclast, someone who's like between the paths that between the path that Foxcroft wanted for him and the path that he was beating for himself. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
Yeah.
nice.
And I think for Isolde's long-term future, I think she brings back some of the treasure, as you advised, to like give to her son, and it's enough to make him incredibly rich. And she then keeps the secret of the rest of the treasure until she is quite old. I think, like basically until the point where she has grandchildren, and then to secure their future, she tells Ivar II where the rest of the treasure might be found. And probably advises him to keep it there, right? Because it's basically safer up north, locked away and hidden, and so on. But in case of an emergency, go up there, fetch more treasure, and that is where her story ends. The next question is, what becomes of your home over the next few generations?
I think
And
we've shown that it is possible to live up there, no?
Yeah, we have shown that it's possible to live up there, and also Isolde restored it to being a functional hunting lodge. And so I think probably eventually, like after some of this isolation taboo has broken down over years, I think that she starts going on hunting trips back up north again, like with her son. Maybe that's even where Ivar does his hunting trial, like a couple of years later.
Nice. By killing
I
a
think that's
walrus.
cool. Yeah, we go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fuck
yeah.
Fuck,
I
fuck
bring
those
my son
guys.
up there. I have him kill a walrus. Hell yeah.
Mom, I don't understand why this is such a big deal. No.
Yeah. Yes. It must be a walrus. Uh-huh. Yeah. So we hunt freshwater walrus, and I think it becomes somewhat of a tradition over the next few generations, actually. Maybe the tradition we sort of accidentally establish is that this is where the trial of adulthood is done. Because it's a harsh environment, and it has this symbolic significance, what with us being exiled there. So maybe it evolves. Like previously, the tradition was just you have to kill a big animal, but now it sort of warps and becomes like you have to kill a big animal in the far north, which adds extra danger and challenge to it.
Yeah. I think new things are added afterwards, despite our best efforts to stop this.
Yeah.
But this is after Ivar's dead, like long after.
Yeah.
People start going. Part of the trial of manhood is that you have to swim in the fucked up lake.
Yeah.
You have to crawl inside the dragon.
Yeah.
You have to go inside the cursed chamber of the wizard glass and bring back one of the thinking minds.
Yeah,
things like
people
that.
start breaking the taboos over time because, of course, they realize eventually that the North isn't that dangerous. Like most of the things are very inert. Probably except swimming in the lake. That would probably genuinely be a bad idea. But the other
Yes.
things.
Yes. If you survive it, then you're a real king. If you don't, well.
Yeah. All right. What changes occur in the land over the next several generations is the next question. I think that's what we've answered. Like people start breaking these taboos and stealing shit and like going up to things and poking them and all these things that we were afraid of. People over time, over the next few generations, stop being so afraid of. Although it's still, of course, a forbidding and foreboding landscape. Like I don't think that the climate changes much. I think it remains a pretty frozen place over the next several generations. But of course, as the taboos break down and as this hunting thing takes place, maybe it becomes like a bit of a site of pilgrimage. Even if we do all these ritual activities up here, then maybe a professional priesthood class evolves over time. Like the wizards slightly change and they become like guardians and guides for people undertaking trials up here.
People who who are like into the dragon, people who love the great serpent in the sky. I think even some wizards who are shunned, who intentionally break into the computer room to kind of like try to use the computers.
Yeah.
It'll be a dark day when they realize it, figure out how to turn them back on.
All right. What things of yours are left behind long after you and your home are a thing of the past?
I think the runes in the cemetery.
Yeah, the runestone in the cemetery is a good one. I also think I want to say that the weird ass effigy that Isolde built on the roof for essentially no reason remains behind because it achieves symbolic significance, right? It just becomes a symbol of the Northern Hunting Lodge,
Yeah.
and when it eventually falls down, like people repair and replace it, and it just becomes a thing that the Northern Hunting Lodge has an effigy on top of it, and no one can remember why. That's just how it's done.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be other new ones, of course, right?
Yeah, exactly. People
and
erect new ones and replacements and so on.
like every single building that people build up there, they put this on top of
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, and people don't really know why. It's just a thing.
Hmm.
Um,
And
yeah,
that's the
lots
story
of
of
such traditions all over the world.
And that's the story of post-apocalyptic Kiruna.
Yeah. Hope
Please
you enjoyed
enjoy.
listening to it. Yeah.
Please enjoy our 7 Swedish listeners.
hmm Yeah. The as we said, the game is called The Land Whispers. It's great fun. It plays out very differently every time I played it. Try it with your
Yep.
friends. I
Yeah.
recommend 3 people, I think, is the sweet spot. It was very nice playing it with 2 people. It absolutely works. I played it with 2 people, with 3 people, with 4 people. And I think to me, 3 feels like the sweet spot. That's where I would recommend.
I think so too.
Yeah. And like we've said, you can find it on Little Cup of Joe,
Teach.io.
itch.io, yeah. And yeah, please do check it out. And we hope you've enjoyed this Christmas special and hope that all this talk of snow and the Great North has brought you some holiday spirit and holiday cheer
Yes.
and etc.
Yes. Roast some chestnuts, drink some mead or glog or whatever mulled wine thing, or whatever non-alcoholic thing you like to drink. What else do people do in Christmas? Eat some
Yeah.
meat. I guess if you don't eat meat, I don't know what to tell you. Eat something else.
Yeah.
Desserts. Presents. Everyone likes to get present.
Yes. Anywho,
Yes.
with that, we are signing off. We have been half of Desperate Attune, and we are now off for a moment. You can support us by giving us a donation on Ko-fi, or you can join our Patreon. Link is where you would expect to find it.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful time. Cue the outro.
Yay.
Good night.